Hello, Smite Draft League. Welcome to Week 5, Immortal Division, Flourish versus the Seismic Shockwaves. I'm Deelo, joined here by my fellow bearded desk mate, DoctahShru in the house. Doc, man, how we feeling?
I'm feeling good. I think this is going to be a fun matchup. You know, the Shockwaves, they've been looking good all season so far, and Flourish are trying to kind of turn things around for themselves. So both teams going to definitely be, giving it their all for this set today.
Absolutely. You have that underdog spirit with you, and Flourish, just knowing the players, they got a lot of tenacity, they got a lot of fight left in them. I've been monitoring as an LC those Immortal chats, and they by no means are counting themselves out, and neither should any of the viewers back at home. We're coming off the back of a little bit of an update with the patch here. Talk to me, Doc, about what changes we might expect to see with the P's and B's, if any, given those changes.
I think ability hunters are starting to make a comeback outside of just the Marticarus, who is comp banned at the moment, so we won't be seeing him. But gods like the Medusa, something like the Chiron, even some spicy picks like a Neath. Wouldn't be surprised if we see some kind of slot in later in the draft.
But we're not surprised to see it's these solo and potential jungle bans coming out on either side. Flourish going to lock out the Sun Wukong and Thor off the map for Seismic Shockwaves.
Yeah, very standard bans on both sides. Sun Wukong is just so annoying to deal with. He does more damage than you. He's so safe. I like them taking that off the board, and they're going to pair it up with the Susano, kind of focusing out the jungle a little bit on both sides here.
Yeah, with Kali off too. What I'm always curious about when it comes to Seismic Shockwaves, you just know that there's one key god, key threat, and it's their team mascot. HirezHinduman on that Geb has been such a prevalent threat, but you don't feel good throwing bans, especially target bans, game one, and especially at a non-meta threat. I'm really curious to see if Seismic Shockwaves decides with their first picks to opt for the front line or the damage dealers.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, anytime a god or a player has a god in the pool that is just so good that you almost want to ban it, but it feels bad. It just brings so much more to your team because they could choose to pick it up here, with their first two picks, or they could choose to pick it up later and see if they can eat a ban with it in the second phase or force Flourish to pick something like that up. But it seems like Flourish are going to opt for the Ganesh first overall for post-drama.
And that's a really good pick, especially if that's almost a ban of its own right, because it really denies a lot of Geb's ability to blink engage, can no longer blink Cataclysm if the Ohm's on you, so that's a very solid boon to Flourish's side. I like that, not maybe wasting those target bans early, going for meta threats, but instead picking up something that is both an aid to your team, but also a detriment to Seismic Shockwaves. Should they go for that Geb, seems they will oblige.
Yeah, they will. It seems like Hindu just doesn't care if the Ganesh is in the game. He's going to play the Geb, and I'm sure it's going to look great, especially paired up with Adora on this Giannis. Every time I see Adora play this pick, he looks so good on it. It's such an impactful god with the rotational ability, with that through space and time, the safety of the portals as well, and just the burst damage. I mean, Giannis, if you walk around a corner into him, you could just absolutely get blown up in an instant.
Absolutely. And Flourish going to provide a bit of flexibility on their side with the Ravana pickup. I know there's been a lot of debate, do we see this in the solo? Do we see this in the jungle? No matter what, I always like this pickup because it grants you that flexibility, keeping your cards close to your chest, gonna force Seismic Shockwaves to think a little bit more at that ban screen. But Freya, not gonna have to think about the carry anymore. That's certainly gonna be in the dual lane.
Yeah, Freya, just the late game hyper carry, always terrifying to go up against it. And she's been on such a rise, and I gotta say, I kind of hate it. She's one of my least favorite gods to play into. She does so much damage if you just, if she's able to make it out of the laning phase, even it feels like she's gotten out of there ahead. It's a very terrifying dual lane coming out of Flourish here with the Ganesh and the Freya paired up together.
And as you say, your most hated god to play against, it's my most hated god to watch. Hachiman going to be locked in for Seismic Shockwaves. Hopefully, the cameraman will not at all pan to the dual lane. I have zero interest in seeing what's going on, and Doc will agree. Morgan Le Fay going to be banned out here on the side of Seismic Shockwaves. Just as far as the game plan seems to be going, what do we think Shockwaves have cooking?
It looks like, I mean, that's a fairly mobile team. Besides just the Giannis being able to add to mobility, Geb's rollout lets him move around the map so quickly. There's mounted archery to get engaged. It seems like Shockwaves are just going to be trying to walk at Flourish with all-out aggression and just so much damage and setup with just their top three. I'm looking forward to see what they want to pair up with it with their jungle and solo picks left.
And certainly won't be a Bastet or a Daji, we'll tell you that. Whereas Seismic Shockwaves really focused on this mid. A lot of counter-engaged gods are now off the map. Hera and Morgan Le Fay will not be able to join the squad, but what does that leave them for the board?
There's quite a bit left in that mid lane that they could go towards. We've been seeing, Tiamat kind of resurface, especially with that kind of library-esque build going for the Tablet of Destinies. There's the Merlin is still available. Lots of options for Realty on that side, but Nike going to be the lock-in for the Seismic Shockwaves, which is just even more hard to deal with frontline paired up with the Geb. This is going to be a tanky, like, frontline duo on the Shockwaves that Flourish are going to have to deal with.
Even more shielding, even more dive. Could maybe warrant thoughts about the execute there with how many shields they're going to have to eat through. But they'll just say, we'll just provide enough raw damage to go right through it. Flourish going to be bringing on the Zhatzz. A pick I believe I've actually seen before, brought on the Realty, but if I recall correctly, not to much success. What are your thoughts on how this slots in?
I mean, like you said, it's a lot of damage. It's not a lot of mobility, which is slightly worrisome to me with how aggressive the Shockwaves team can act. But if Realty's allowed to just stand and get his damage off, even if he dies, you're willing to take that trade because this squad just has damage in spades with the Lancelot locked in as well. It has the Prot Shred from the Ganesh, the raw damage from the Freya and the Zeus. I can see what Flourish is trying to cook up here. It's just going to be a matter of execution.
With the lack of overall hard CC easily disposable at their side, it's going to be a bit difficult comparatively to how I think Seismic Shockwaves has a very good flowchart. Several directions they could take with their CC, but the end result being the same. Flourish being locked down and taken down. Rat going to be their final pick.
Yeah, even more setup, even more initiation coming out of the Seismic Shockwaves with that Ratatoskr jungle. As much as I like the draft of Flourish, I think Lancelot is a sleeper pick right now in either jungle or solo. But this draft that the Shockwaves have put together just looks so incredibly well, ordered, and you know what they're going to do, and it seems like they should just be able to execute on it to a much easier degree than what Flourish is going for.
Especially when you have comfort picks like the Gevin Pocket. Always nice to have your team mascot on your side. There's thematic consistency, and we've seen that win the day several times for these Immortal players. So hopefully going to see that being well acted to fruition. But, of course, Flourish, knowing that Hindu feels comfortable on that pick, might have some answers to it. Only one way to find out, though. We're going to toss it over to iNooblet, special guest there, as well as Zhatzz, another special guest coming in here for the cast. We'll be right back with Game 1.
Thank you, Deelo, and thank you, DoctahShru, over there on the desk. Welcome in, Smite Draft League fans. We have a great matchup today, and that is Flourish versus Seismic Shockwaves in the Immortal division, week number 5. I'll be your host this evening, iNooblet, joined in the booth by Zhatzz. Zhatzz, how do you feel just looking at this matchup?
Well, thank you for having me, first of all. And I've got to say, I look at the two drafts on paper, and I think, well, what Seismic Shockwaves have done, they've drafted a lot of what I would expect to see from a lot of these players, and it's heavy dive and high mobility coming out from the Shockwaves. Now, that's really good into immobile backliners like the Freya, like the Zeus, so I think that will work really well. The problem is, actually, is that with the amount of damage they have on that backline, and with a Ganesh thrown into the mix, if you can actually stall out, bait out a little bit of time, allow the Zeus to get a lot of damage off, you'll actually find that these tanky frontliners like the Nike and the perhaps Ratatoskr that we'll see, they're actually going to die very, very quickly. So there's something to look out for as we get to the later portion of the game. But in the early game, certainly, as we look at this mid lane, you'd certainly expect to favour the Zeus mid lane pressure. The clear coming out is crazy, and it's always exciting to see a Zeus in this mid lane.
That's a great analysis, and actually, I can give you some history to these picks here. I know this is your first time in this My Draft League, and we're super happy to have you here. Realty on this Zeus, as we'll take it. We'll keep our eye on this scuffle mid. I don't expect much to come out. Maybe some early poke from szax on the Realty. Yep, there is the early poke. Not much going to come from it. But Realty in Season 2 of Smite Draft League, in my opinion, was probably the best mid laner. Spurman getting pushed under tower there. Great use. Nike abilities. Can hop on his horse. The shield goes away, meaning he's off the horse. Going to live for now. Back to the
a little bit.
If you didn't mind, sorry to cut you off.
You carry on, sir.
Yeah, Realty, one of the top mid laners of Season 2, but last week he was forcing this Zeus pick. We typically see him on someone like the Morgan Le Fay, where he can have a lot of impact, a lot of self-peel, and just do crazy damage numbers. The Zeus pick did not work out. It didn't work out in the game 1. He forced it into the game 2, and now he's bringing it in here in week 5 on the first game. It's a good god and he's a good player. I just feel like off the things you said about the matchup, it might not work out well, as now we see the aggression in dual lane.
Yeah, and we also saw that little bit of pressure coming out for the Nike. Not entirely surprising, as you say, when you've got this warrior into any kind of assassin, really. Even a meta one like Lancelot at the moment. DoctahShru highlighted it. This is a slept-on pick at the moment, but it's going to get ganked really early.
Blink in and a good knockback away from Spurman, but it's not enough. They're going to do a little tower dive, and first blood of this game will go to szax on the rat. Seismic Shockwaves take an early lead.
Yeah, and a little bit concerning. You never want to see your assassin solo go behind. Again, this Nike is just going to get tankier. The damage will stay relevant throughout. Whereas with an assassin, with this Lancelot, you need items to really come online. And you need to be ahead when you start rotating into these fights. Otherwise, you're not going to be as tanky as your other laner. And you're not actually going to do as much damage compared to these backliners. So they need to maybe get on top of that. Maybe we need to look for a counter rotation from Rushology on this Raven. But for now, they'll be okay. The teleport is available and was used. So nothing major.
Here is that counter rotation you're talking about. HirezHinduman's going to sacrifice his own life just to get his carry out. Now that is the first blood for Flourish in this game 3 minutes in. A good response, saying that the pressure was given up over there in solo lane. Let's take it on over to duo. Great rotation.
And that's always the thing that I look for in a good jungler is how well do you either match the rotation of the enemy jungler, or do you actually ignore it, go to the other side of the map, get some farm in response, maybe try and steal it away, or indeed get a gank onto a Ged who, let's be fair, is very susceptible to that kind of early gank. Really immobile. Once you've forced that rollout, there's really nothing you can do to avoid death in that situation. So good recognition. They also had Realty rotating over as well to help with the purple buff. Yeah, I like what they do though. I like how Flourish played the map there. They can keep going, and as long as we say, as this Lancelot doesn't fall too far behind, they'll be in a pretty good position as we get out of this laning phase. Because certainly once we get to the sort of mid game, when you sort of start fighting around the mid lane in terms of these big objectives, that's when you start to favor Flourish just because they have a Zeus. So at that point, you want to make sure that your Lancelot is still going to be online and relevant.
While we have a little downtime here, give some more insight into these players. Now, Flourish are coming into this week 5, and they don't have the best score line. Currently sitting at 2 points as we see szax jumping into mid lane. Beats committed from Realty, but another tower dive. And szax gonna live with 1 HP, even though the Zeus ult was dropped on his head. This rat is doing what you pick rat for, and that is to just be everywhere all the time. And so far, 2 tower dives resulting in 2 kills, and we haven't even hit the 5-minute mark.
Absolute perfection. That's what you want to see from your Ratatoskr. As soon as you've upgraded that Acorn, it is arguably the biggest power spike in the game at the earliest point in the game, and you should be using that to its full effectiveness. And to be fair, they've been doing it super well. Already got the Acorn online, already getting a kill in solo lane, and now pressuring out the Zeus, slowing down the stacking, force the beads as well, and there's really nothing else you can do. Throw in all the damage, but not enough in the end.
Oh, through space and time, just barely off the mark, but you love to see that coming through the mid lane. Why not put it out? Rushology gonna have to use ult just to buy some space and time of his own. And now blue buff, the point of contention. We do see POSTDRAMA coming over to help, but it's too little too late. Blue buff goes away of Seismic Shockwaves. And that was a good fight. It looked like started up from Flourish. They had the numbers. They were forcing Nike away. But the teamwork from Shockwaves and the answer back, they were just there on top of it and turned the fight on its head.
And we're nearly 6 minutes in, and already we've seen rotations from both mid laners to either side of the map. Really interesting to see, actually. Now, of course, you do have that option, Adora on the Janus, you of course are able to rotate very, very quickly, certainly compared to a Zeus on the other side. But it's the fact that you already have a kill onto the Zeus, who's forced to go back to base and after that early spill. So that allows you, gives you the freedom to rotate on over to the solo lane. You've of course got through the Cosmos as well, that Ratosca hopping on by. It's so dangerous to when you underestimate the power of these rotations that are coming out of Seismic Shockwaves. You have to always be wary that actually this may seem like a winning fight, but the team of Flourish could be there very, very quickly if you're not looking out for it.
It's going to be interesting to see how a couple of these players become the catalyst for this game. You look at DrkILLJOY on the Freya. He's always played the Freya very well, and obviously a hyper carry god. We see szax creeping around. We'll keep our eye on that. Killjoy stepping up a little bit. Rat does have blink. Could engage on this. There's the blink. Immediately beads, and then to the skies goes Killjoy to create some... But here could be the tower dive. Thinks twice about it. Already got 2 kills off the back of that. Doesn't want the third because we do see Flourish coming over to help. The response was there in time. A blink in from Rushology. A good shield and Cataclysm just to buy some time, but it's all for nothing. Rushology with the up down onto aritti. Takes him out of the fight, and POSTDRAMA grabs szax, but a good space and time to just break it up and give szax an exit. That is the power of the Janus when used appropriately. Coming into these fights when no one expected it, big damage, and then an escape path. The boxing back and forth between PeeWeSpurman and MiniDelvin over here in the right lane. They're kind of hitting a point where it would be hard to get a solo kill, but worth the watch. How do you feel about that rotation? It was good engage from Seismic Shockwaves, but Flourish was ready for it, and it seemed like they got the better of it at the end.
Yeah, and a lot of that came off of DrkILLJOY being able to bait so very long on that Freya. There was the blink used, had to beads in response, but it was a good use of the Valkyrie's discretion, used it for the maximum amount of duration, and actually forced 2 ultimates off of it. It was through the Cosmos and the mounted archery as well, just to try and tower dive that kill. In the end, they go a little bit too far, and the counter rotation is very, very good. You get a nice through space and time at the end of it as well. I think it was a big Cataclysm to try and help out that fight a little bit, but in the end, they managed to get a return kill. It was a 1 for nothing. Nothing lost really, unless you count the beads and the ultimate. That is something you can look at again. I think if you're szax and you know you can come back to this duo lane and keep up the pressure on this Freya, because now, as a result of that failed gank, it's actually put Killjoy ahead instead of behind, which is what, of course, you were hoping to do. But HirezHinduman isn't too concerned about that at this point, but it is something to be considered. The more you try and gank like that, and actually, when it doesn't work out, you end up taking farm away from that side laner. And in the end, you're actually going to start to lose out a little bit.
Now 9 minutes into this game, gold lead barely in favor of the Shockwaves. Gold per minute certainly in favor of the Shockwaves. That could change quickly, as all things do here in Season 10 of Smite. Giving a little more insight to these picks, as they're things I look for as we go across. The Geb pick versus the Ganesh pick. These are 2 massive picks that are kind of going a little unnoticed. HirezHinduman, known for the Geb, has played it phenomenally all 5 weeks. Very rarely ever loses on it. Last week did have a bit of an off week, missing a couple cataclysms, but so far it looks like he's cleaned that up. And then POSTDRAMA on the other side. This is someone who loves Ganesh. It is always his #1 selection. He will always go to it if he can. He's been the #1 Ganesh in ranked many seasons in a row. So the comfort is there. And what happens on a team when you have 2 good supports that are on a comfort pick and then are going to be engaging these fights and knowing what their abilities can and cannot do?
Well, I think the key actually is going to be which of these 2 supports can kind of hold on to their abilities and their relics the longest. Because actually, what you're looking for, especially on the side of Flourish and with this Ganesh, you're looking to bait out these kind of diving backliners, you get a good silence onto them, and then burn them down very, very quickly. You also notice the POSTDRAMA has picked up that early Sunder. Makes a lot of sense. We see a blink from Rushology, and actually, szax, if there weren't 2 other members, probably goes for that fight. But the Sunder pickup makes perfect sense. You've got constant stone shields. You've got a big shield coming out, but it's a big gank onto Killjoy.
Yeah, they're coming in full speed, already mounted archery, and the rollout. Gonna get the knock up on Killjoy. He has bees to get some separation. Now HinduMan is gonna have to tank this, and Killjoy's turning it around. Keep your eyes on Rat, though. He is up in the Cosmos. Here's the dive. Immediately deletes him. PostDRAMA sends out the Dharmic Pillars. Can he get the kill? The Ganesh kill. He does.
Wow.
The Elephant gets one for this set, but he might pay for it. Gets just enough space for the boys from Flourish to come in. Big Zeus ult. Aritti looking unhealthy now. Zhatzz is already out of this, and a quick dodge to avoid the Mystic Rush. Realty now has a double kill. What a fantastic answer back for that huge gank that came out of Shockwaves.
Yeah, I think 3 for 1 in favor of Flourish in the end. And I've got deja vu here because once again, it is DRkILLJOY baiting under their own tower with this Freya. Now, I like the attempt a little bit more. They wait on the Ratatoskr ultimate, and so they pretty much guarantee themselves a kill. But again, it just takes them so long to get it done. They have to use so many abilities, so many relics. And in the end, they've pushed way too far up, and Zeus gets clean up.
Rushology caught in a bad spot.
Interesting.
This is not what you want to see. You made a great play. I get it. You're trying to make more happen on the back end. Just gets caught out. Shockwaves were ready for it. Make them pay, as now we see Stygian Beacon up and available. A lot of big fights happen here early on. Do you think they contest it, or do you think they give this one up?
It's unfortunate timing on the death of Rushology. It just means you can't step up to contest this. Stygian Beacon, nothing you can really do. I caught a little bit in no man's land at the enemy speed buff. Always likely to happen. Again, you have to respect the rotation power that Seismic Shockwaves can bring. But still, they've evened up the gold lead. I mean, there's barely anything in it. In fact, actually, Solane is rotated. This is an early Gold Fury pull.
I don't think Flourish has enough time to get in there. They are nearby, but they just can't get there. HinduMan committing the Cataclysm just to make sure Killjoy doesn't go up into the sky and get a cheeky steal. That is the first Gold Fury of this game, going the way of Shockwaves, and it's a nice way to increase the lead and get a little bit of a standoff from Flourish. One question I do have is about Realty on this Zeus. Realty is such a good player, and he can turn a game so much, but Zeus is known for the low mobility, and that's why he's been struggling with this pick as of late. How do you get Realty into these fights? You don't have it through space and time. You don't have it into the Cosmos. He can't rotate well. So is it pick a fight around him, or just try and do what Killjoy's doing and bait the fight, waiting on him to show up?
It's kind of that, yeah. You do want to bait them in just a little bit, and I like this Pyromancer pull. Szax is on scene, not quite in time, but a nice response after that Gold Fury. But yes, if you want to get this use involved, first of all, you're going to be looking to just go that little bit later and start fighting in these narrow jungle avenues that Zeus loves to fight in. That's the first point that you really want to be getting for Realty on this use, but there's more fighting going on around this dead Pyromancer. Nothing coming of it, but the other way that you want to get into it is actually, it's all about the amount of space that you can create for this use. So it's going to be, on this Lancelot, on Rushology, on this Raven, how much space can you make, and how much zoning can you do on this backline so that Zeus is given enough time to one-shot whoever's running at them. And they do have the ability to do that. Raven can stick around and fight so long the Lancelot, but the problem is when it's a Hatchiman and when it's a Janus, they can kind of just ignore the frontliners and go on straight to diving the backliners with those ultimates and with the high mobility that they have. That's going to be the problem for me. So can you actually lock down those two backliners first before the fight begins? Then you're going to be in a much better position.
Be something to keep our eye on. And something else to keep our eye on is this duo lane where Freya is up in experience. They both currently sitting at 13, but Killjoy does have a little bit of a lead onto aritti, but all the pressure is going the way of Hatchiman, which is interesting. He does have a bit more of a reach, obviously more tools to clear, and quite frankly, more escape. Maybe we need to see Killjoy press that a little bit, or people to come over and help. Not much else going on in the map. That first Gold Fury did go down. Pyromancer followed it shortly, splitting to either team. Fire Giant is available, and szax is looking in the mid lane to maybe try and make something happen. Looks like a little bit of downtime. Let's take a look at these builds. We see Ravana going the Transcendence second. Definitely going for the one burst shot, as most people think Ravana is better in the solo lane. Be interested to get your thoughts on that. And then also this Freya, who started with Conduit Gem. How do you feel about Conduit Gem when most hunters are starting different directions?
I think it's actually a very good pick onto the Freya. It helps you mostly in that early game, to be fair, and that window has certainly passed now where the conduit isn't so relevant. The upgrade is nice enough, and I think having, you know, extra movement, extra damage just off the upgrade is fine in itself. We often see Bumbas instead. That helps you a bit with your jungle clear, and the Bumbas hammer can help. But Dharmic Pillars has been used aggressively, but I'm not sure they're going to get anything here.
A lot of things start up over the shield buff, and Flourish wanted that one. Good escape, though, on the side of Shockwaves. Of course, Aritti can get out for free on that mounted archery, and szax just followed. But now they're going to have to back, which leaves an open window for Flourish to come in and get this pressure back on the dual lane. All of the members, other than Lancelot, are over here on this side. They could win this, take the tower, and look at the Gold Fury that's spawning soon. HirezHinduman standing his ground, not letting them come in and take a couple shots from Killjoy, making the tower target him. It's a smart move,
Okay.
and Aritti has gotten back. He tried his
I
best.
don't mind that, though. Yeah, I don't mind that, because you actually fought to commit a Pyromancer bomb just to confirm that, because otherwise they weren't getting it. Not with the Freya damage and the Ganesh, of course. That just ain't happening. And actually, Seismic Shockwaves made the call there. We'll send people back now. If they want to really overcommit to this tower, they can, but it actually means we'll be back in time for Gold Fury spawn, because I think they were more worried about that. It was just spawning and health bars were low, so they made the call, actually, we're going to back off a little bit early. Maybe we'll give up a little bit of pressure in this long lane, but it means we're all here, we're all healthy for this Gold Fury and for this second spawning in the mid lane, which we're going to see a big fight over, actually. Both solo laners have rotated.
Second Stygian Beacon, it means it's go time. You only get one for free. We see a bit of a split five. 3 members going on Delvin in the back. 2 members from Flourish going on the other 3. But look at this. Delvin was caught on the corner by POSTDRAMA and just melted away. Rushology going to clean that one up as Adora gets out through the portals. And now HirezHinduman and Aritti have to back up, and the Stygian Beacon goes the way of Flourish. Excellent teamwork there, and using all of their abilities cohesively to get that W. It's a small one, but it is a W.
Yeah, and we're starting to see the problem, actually, with this Nike solo. Very, very tanky, but the problem is the Sunder came out, and it's been fully upgraded already by POSTDRAMA, melts that shield, and then with the Freya and the Zeus combined, if you get enough lockdown, that Nike is dead very, very quickly. I like that. That's how they're going to win these fights. They're going to need to target that front line and hope, and certainly this Lancelot did a lot to make enough space, and now actually means they've taken that middle objective, they won the fight majorly, and now they can look at this second Fury that spawned, and it looks to be pretty uncontested, but szax is here.
szax hanging around, gonna get zoned out by Spurman, who actually blinks on him just to make sure he won't get here, but here's Adora, just a little too late. Flourish picking up the Primal Fury on the back, that Stygian Beacon fight. They did lose Pyromancer in the process, but it looks like they're not rolling over here, and they want this, only down about 1,000 gold as we get close to the 20-minute mark.
And I love how both teams are willing to rotate around the map, and when they know they've got to give up certain objectives, they always short Pyromancer, cleaning that one up. They're always maximizing the amount of golden XP that they're getting for their team across the board, and that's really great to see. And it's resulted in what is still, I would say, a pretty even game. Nearly 20 minutes in, not much of a gold lead to talk about for the Seismic Shockwaves, maybe half an item here or there, but we're seeing this dual lane again squabbling, but nothing more. I like what I see from both teams. I do think that the longer this goes, the better Flourish will feel with these kind of carries that just burn through everyone in the late game. I think that's going to suit them more. But again, that's a blink in, massive damage on Realty.
That's the problem with picking the Zeus right there, and that's why it didn't work last week, is when you have someone with so much chase and CC, there's just no way to get out. You're banking on the fact that Zeus can burst them down before they burst you down. Realty, unfortunately, caught out there. Now sitting at 2-2-2, which is not bad. Still a decent score line. He is 2 levels down on the Giannis, which proves to be even more of a detriment. Now we'll take a look over at the duo lane, which we got a little bit of a 1v1. Not sure if they will commit to it fully. Freya does have a tower to go back to. Zeus getting caught out is just, I feel like, is what's going to be the downfall of Flourish. Where can you go from there? You're relying on Zeus for a lot of your objective secure with that, and a lot of your zoning, and of course dropping the ultimate changes the fight completely. So now Flourish got to take a backseat, I imagine. szax looking over here at Spurman. He'll probably be fine. He's got a lot of defense online, but let's check it out. szax dashes in. Spurman just knocks him away, and he's just going to walk away.
Yeah, gotta hit abilities before you can do a damage check. But I don't mind that at all. I do think the Flourish are they can start grouping up a little bit. Again, there aren't really any objectives in play at the moment, but there's actually no reason that you can't just group up and start pushing down a tower somewhere. I think the team fight they have is really, really good just because of the combo of ultimates they have with the Dharmic Pillars into the Zeus ultimate. I think that can give you enough in a team fight, whereas you look at Seismic Shockwaves, they are looking for a slightly more split up fight. But I say that they are looking to group, and they forced the ult nice and early. See if they can get anything more.
HirezHinduman, not a lot of places to go. He's got to go towards the enemies or towards the Dharmic Pillars. He's going to fall shortly. A massive through space and time from distance, hitting Killjoy, half healthing him. But here's Spurman. He's made his way over to the duo lane. Eyes on szax and Nike in the jungle. Going to be looking to make something happen, but aritti just fighting for his life, trying to get back to tower. A huge teammate portal, but into the waking arms of Realty, who's going to clean that one up. Realty a bit late to the fight because you're a Zeus and can't go very fast, but cleans that one up. Just happened to come right to him.
I think that's... How many times is Seismic Shockwaves going to go a little bit too deep in that duo side and then get rotated on? Again, I think the Janus ult and the portals help a lot, and they actually kind of minimizes the loss because that could have been considerably worse for them. But again, they've fallen for that a couple of times. I like the grouping very, very much. I think it's it's something I said they should be doing. They're now grouping around as Pyromancer, but it's not really free.
Flourish does actually get the Pyromancer, but can they take the fight afterwards? Realty drops the ult in a massive knock-up. Four members of Flourish have no health. Adora gets one, MiniDelvin gets another, Spurman picks up szax in the 1v1 in mid lane, but now POSTDRAMA nowhere to go. He's gonna fall shortly after Killjoy. Adora has a double, MiniDelvin has a double. PeeWeSpurman the only one alive, and that is a 1-4-4 in favor of Shockwaves. They dropped the objective, but man, did they win the fight.
They absolutely won that fight so convincing. Credit has to go to MiniDelvin, who I think baited very, very well, did a ton of damage, got a double knock-up, I think. And the Sunder wasn't quite in play as much as you'd like. And I've talked about it a bit when you're trying to counter out this Nike. Wasn't quite so much in play there. And I think, first of all, szax did a lot to bait a lot of abilities and a lot of relics out. And actually, szax, in the end, manages to dash away on fairly low HP. Does die in the 1v1, but actually, the Rattusker had already done their job. And what it meant was that MiniDelvin could come right on in, thanks to a Janus portal as well, and destroy the backline. They got absolutely destroyed. There was nothing that POSTDRAMA could do. I just love the way they played that. And again, despite the fact that you're fighting in these narrow jungle corridors, the Zeus is still just that little bit too behind and doesn't quite have the build online yet. It just means that it's going to continue being a problem for the next 5 minutes. You've got to find a way to get this use back even. And again, look to fight on your terms, because you do have to be careful around these objectives. Obviously, it was Flourish that started and they got the Pyromancer. That's perfectly fine, but your disengage is not very good. And again, with the ability we talked about so much, they're going to chase you down very, very easily.
I think something I always found interesting in these games around objectives is if you're the team Flourish who is down and struggling in the fights, if you take the objective, you're the one controlling it, you're the one setting the pace, you're committing so much to secure it that then the fight afterwards, you don't have that available. Dharmic Pillars and Zeus ult were committed just to get it, so you didn't have them for the fight, whereas the other team was biding their time and waiting for it. We see a tussle, Order Side Titan already dead, Chaos Titan marching down the middle. All 10 members are here and thinking about a fight. 2 members of Flourish on either side of the jungle, and this Chaos Titan, it just means business. It's backing up the entirety of Flourish. Where would you like to see go from here? Shockwaves, should they start up the Fire Giant? Should they push down this T2? Or should we just take an arena brawl in mid as we see PeeWeSpurman looking like he wants to get in there?
Well, I think this is probably the biggest lead, around a 4K lead for Seismic Shockwaves, and actually that's the biggest one we've seen this so far. So yes, you ping around this Fire Giant. One thing I want to see is if you're going to be pulling it, and you do have to be very careful, and even just a normal Fire Giant, it will absolutely chunk whoever's tanking it. And actually, you kind of mentioned it a little bit earlier with that Pyromancer. If you are tanking it, and you are the ones in control of that objective, there is always the risk that you will lose the fight afterwards, because 90% of the time, if you are having to defend Fire Giant, the objective for you is not to try and steal the Fire Giant. The objective is actually to try and kill a backliner whilst they're tanking Fire Giant. Can we actually, they've used all their stuff, can we actually get onto the backline that little bit more? So you do need to be really careful about that. We so rarely see anymore the state of how Fire Giant is and how tanky it is as well. We rarely see full-on commits while there are 3, 4, 5 members of the enemy team still alive and on the map, because it's just too risky. So it's going to have to be a pretty clean wipe if you are going to look to pull this Fire Giant.
PeeWeSpurman going up a bit too far into the Fire Giant pit just to get some wards out, but safe on that horse as there's not really a nice stun to take him off of it. Feels like we just saw a Pyromancer fight, and guess what? There's another one back up. Shockwave's going to take this one and didn't use a lot for it, so let's see if Flourish wants this fight. Some good damage coming out of Zeus already. MiniDelvin going to be just fine. Took a Sunder, but going to have to back up. Could come back into this fight. Spurman going to use the ult just to go back there, and Rushology dives into the back, straight onto Adora. Huge damage. Dharmic Pillars committed onto 2 over here at the right side. Rad is up in the air looking to change this fight around. Everyone is grouped together on Flourish. They're ready for the drop. Doesn't decide to do it. Instead, gonna reset, go to the fountain. Now Fire Giant Pit in control for Flourish. MiniDelvin is healthy now. Nope, they're not gonna take it. Shockwave's gonna retreat a little bit into the jungle. Let's see if Flourish starts this off on the Fire Giant or if they reset.
And again, it will just, I think, be a little bit too risky, but it was such a scrappy fight for both teams. And again, no targets fell for either side, so a none for none, as it were. Targets got low, and it was Adora, I think, who was the main focus, and I think correctly so. That's the first time we've really seen Rushology on this Raven actually look to dive the Yanis, and I do think, you know, despite a couple of Raven nerfs, this is still one of the best picks for countering a Yanis. Just having a route available to stop Adora slipping through that portal is so valuable, but unfortunately, just lacking that little bit in damage, didn't quite have enough on the back end to get that kill. But it is encouraging to see that, because that is an important target to take off the map nice and early. I think if you can do that, then the fights are suddenly going to swing in favor of Flourish, I should say. But I don't mind this. Again, you're not going to lose Fire Giant by doing this Gold Fury, because you've got 2 members around that can defend on their own, as long as they don't get picked off.
Primal Fury going the way of Seismic Shockwaves, but over here, Flourish taking the fight onto the 2. Dharmic Pillars didn't catch anybody in it. Sunder immediately destroying the shield from MiniDelvin.
Here they come!
Through space and time has gotten the rest of the squad here, and Adora has cleaned up Realty. DrKILLJOY trying to survive in the air for just a little bit. A huge cataclysm, and now 2 more members have fallen, and Killjoy will join them. That's 2 doubles and a huge deicide for Shockwaves, and now they can do whatever they want. Do you want Fire Giant? Do you want it running down? It looks like an easy Fire Giant for Shockwaves. What happened? Where'd that go wrong?
It looked like a decent engage, actually. Man, I just can't believe how one-sided that seemed. Again, I think part of the problem with Realty got burned down so quickly. I don't believe Realty got the detonate off, which might well have killed a target on the backside. It's a bit unlucky, but again, that's proving to be the problem with Zeus. They commit a lot of stuff onto MiniDelvin, who I've said this before, is able to bait so long despite the shield shredding that's coming out. Earns enough time for the team to rotate over, and by that point, too much has been used, and now, look at, as a result, they've managed to take so much off the map. Suddenly, they are massively in control of this game.
Look at this play. They got in. They got 2 Phoenixes in the blink of an eye, and just like that, they're gone. They used through space and time, get out of there, the whole team ready to reset. Didn't even want a chance taking a fight, which they probably could have won against Flourish. So now, ticking over to the 30-minute mark, gold still vastly in favor of the Shockwaves, but more so the map state. 2 Phoenixes down, Fire Giant on every member of Shockwaves. If you're Flourish, do you turtle? Do you try and catch them in the jungle and maybe get a deicide and turn this around? What do you do?
The problem in what was, I would have said, a fairly even game, certainly for the first early stages of this game, shall we say, is that as soon as you get a deicide like that with no losses on your own part, you can take everything off the map. And to be fair to the Shockwaves, they'd already cleaned up tier 2 towers. They already had access to 2 Phoenixes. They were able to take them off the map. Now, they didn't get the best Phoenix to get, arguably the left-hand side, opposite a Fire Giant. That's always going to be valuable to take away if you can. But the fact is, they've still got a Fire Giant. They can push, take this tower. They probably can go for this third Phoenix. And there isn't really a lot you can do about it because, of course, if you're Flourish, you're going to have to start defending fire waves in mid and right-hand side. You don't want your Titan taking too much damage because at this stage of the game, your Titan isn't going to regen health for a very, very long time. So it's going to be a very tough defense. I'd almost like to see them give it up because I just think the pressure that's going to come from these fire waves is going to be too much to handle.
We're going to take a look at what could be a final siege here from Shockwaves. Need to run it down this left side and get this bird. There's nothing in mid lane, nothing in the right lane besides fire minion waves that are going to apply pressure. Spurman goes into the jungle and pays for it immediately. And that was sort of a go button as the rest of Flourish aren't going to let their boy die alone. They go out and now they're very poked out and we haven't even started the Phoenix siege. Fire minions pouring in, POSTDRAMA standing in front of 4. MiniDelvin dives into the back and Killjoy erased by szax. 3 members now left to defend against all 5 from Shockwaves. Rushology on his own. Mystic rush into the back and is taking on 4 members. He still have health. There's the Zeus ult. He put out some damage. A good Geb shield gonna save szax's life. POSTDRAMA getting tossed to the side. Now has to get past 3 members of red in order to get to his fountain. This is not looking good on the defense side, but they do have tools to save it. Aritti gonna get jumped on by Rushology, just going on the only person doing damage, but HirezHinduman's gonna clean him up. That's 1 for the Geb. A quarter health on the Titan, and no one really looking like they can stop them. Seismic Shockwaves come into week 5 and get the first game of this set against Flourish.
Wow, it just seemed to end so quickly off of that one fight around Fire Giant. Crazy stuff, and I think a lot of that comes down to Spurman went in, did a ton of damage to the Ratatoskr, and I thought, okay, maybe that's not bad. That's because you need to take a fight somewhere outside of your base, but in the end, gets shredded down, and from there, they just stagger their deaths a bit too much, and it's always going to be a tough ask. With 2 Phoenixes down, they lose the 3rd one, and again, 5 minions rushing into the Titan. That's just an easy win in the end, but it was a little more balanced than I think the end scoreline suggests. Golden XP. I think they didn't do a lot wrong in the early game, but it just sort of fell out of control as soon as it came to the team fight stage.
We'll throw it to the desk for analysis of game number 1.
Thank you there, Nooblet and Zhatzz. Crazy game 1, but in the end, man, you can't deny the Geb their accolades. Doc, talk to me about what happened this game.
Yeah, it just, Shockwaves, they ran away with it once we got towards the mid game, and I feel like HirezHinduman on the Geb looked so good, like you mentioned, but Adora on this Giannis just, you need to get this man off this pick. He looked incredible. He had a great slash line in terms of damage and kills, but the utility that he brought with those portals, saving people in team fights, using the through space and time to just evacuate from their Phoenix siege, it's just such a strong pick in Adora's hands.
It really is, and it's such a great pick because of his willingness to use those abilities off cooldown. Through space and time, so pivotal that you have to be willing to pull that trigger even if you don't know that it'll quite bring the contribution you hope for. It certainly did though. 23k player damage, top of the charts. Give a medal to this man.
Yeah, he just looked so good. And I feel like, we talked about before game 1, it kind of feels bad banning away something like a Geb. I think when it comes to Giannis, you just got to take it off the board.
That doesn't feel quite as bad, right? I'd
no,
say that
it doesn't. Yeah. I mean, with 23k damage top in the lobby, like you mentioned, just ban it. At worst, pick it up for yourselves. If Realty can play it, that would be another thing to do. But just make sure there isn't a world where Adora gets this again.
I mean, I wouldn't mind Realty playing it. Let's talk about just this immobile backline. It was mentioned at the desk. They harped on it during the game. How do we think that impacted? Was that their downfall, or was that not the issue? Was it something else that we just didn't get to see?
I feel like it was a big part of it. Realty looks comfortable on the Zeus, and he had moments where he was doing those Zeus things, impactful ultimates in the team fights to make people leave an area or face death worked out. But with how much dive that was coming out from the shockwaves, it was just too much for Realty to get away from. Even DRkILLJOY on the Freya, who has that self banish as a tool to escape, was just kind of getting ran at, and it's just too hard to deal with. I feel like if Flourish wants to continue this playstyle, they need to make sure that it's into a comp from the shockwaves that's a little less dive focused, if anything.
Yeah, like I said, for even before game one, this team of Flourish, they got tenacity. I just don't want to see that become stubbornness. Do not die on the Zeus Hill if you're gonna continue dying in the game. I would personally like to see a bit of a change up, or at the very least, other tools around the Zeus if you're going to stick by it that allow it to make sure it can free cast for a bit longer amount of time, a bit more appeal. Ganesha was solid. Maybe make a few more changes to your comp that really ensure there's an iron wall around that mage.
Yeah, as much as I adore the Lancelot solo, it's something I've been kind of running myself a lot. It doesn't really fit with the Zeus gameplay, and I agree with what you're saying. You need that like intense front line that is going to just be there to make sure that hyper carry mage can kind of get off the ground. And it didn't quite work out in game one for Flourish. I'm looking forward to see what, if any, change up they make here for game two.
Maybe some target bans. Right now, we're going to start off with a Sun Wukong. Keep it casual, keep it the same. Why not? It's an annoying pick.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, if MiniDelvin was able to do what he did on the Nike, I do not want to see him on this Sun Wukong if I'm a Flourish player. So great ban to kick it off. And Seismic Shockwaves, they're sticking with their guns. I mean, it worked in game one. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. But there it is. We asked for it. And a Flourish delivers, taking away that Giannis.
It's just smart. That's just respect. If you know that your opponent is good on it, that's a hill we're not dying on. I'm glad to see that Flourish is indeed respecting their opponents and recognizing this is an obstacle that we can just have the ability to take off the map. Why not? Adora was comfortable on it, has been playing this god for weeks now. Put him onto something that he might not be quite as stable on. Susano going to be taken off as well. A lot of jungle threats in general still being off the map.
Yeah, Shockwave's banning just jungle picks off the board here with that Ao Kuang, as well as the Kali. I mean, you could argue Thor is a flex ban towards that solo lane as well, but I like that they're focusing on Rushology because he looked really good in game one. It didn't go Flourish's way, but his Ravana was doing work time and time again. It seems like though Flourish is just going to run back the Ganesh with POSTDRAMA.
With the Giannis being the exception, everything so far has been the exact same here for Flourish. They're saying that we have confidence at least in some of the structure of how we played this P's and B's phase game one. Sounds like Shockwave's going to say the same. We feel comfortable with this carry. Hachiman makes a return to the battlefield.
Well, try not to fall asleep as you watch what you said was a boring god over there in dual lane. But it looked good in Aretti's hands. I definitely do not mind them running it back. He's so safe, and they're just going to run back the dual lane as a whole. Top two getting locked in there, and Geb is returning.
I mean, we already know how this is about to go. We down to just fast forward this one, guys. Like, we can get at the end. It's literally, so far, tit for tat, the exact same. The only thing that Seismic Shockwaves needs to think about is their mid replacement. Okay, so let's talk about that then, Doc. Mid replacement, who do we think's on the table? Oh, hold on. Flourish is changing things up now. Bakasura going to be their jungle pick.
Yeah, this was banned away in game one by the Shockwaves, but this time they opted to get rid of that Ao Kuang, and it seems like Rushology is chomping at the bit, no pun intended there, to pick up the Bakasura. And I love this pick. I feel like it can do a great job of getting into the backline and kind of giving Flourish some dive of their own in a way that Seismic Shockwaves had in game one.
And hopefully going to see that I'm a bit worried with this Freya again because it's dive. That's good, but it's not quite the best peel. The cripple and slow field can be effective on the defensive end, but like you said, it's more so to enable your own dive to be a threat. Maybe the solution is just brute force. Sometimes it doesn't quite work to your succession, especially with an Awilix lock-in to deny any leaps you might try to put on them.
A great counter pick right off the board here for the Shockwaves. Awilix, might have a hard time if she gets ulted by the Bakasura, but it's so hard to engage when you can't use one of your abilities for fear of getting pulled in by that gravity surge. I think it's a great pick. It is a little early in the draft. I mean, Flourish can now make sure they don't draft anybody else that has a leap. So I feel like the Shockwaves might have been able to hold that until a bit later in their picks. But even if it just counters Rushology on the Bakasura, I feel like that's job done.
It also does allow the Geb to have a bit more setup there. There's that Bing Bang combination with the rollout knockup. It's a bit hard to, of course, hit, but Hindu hits them. We saw the elephant flying out of the right side of the map during that final throne room engagement. And of course, you can also get it with very clean timing off of the Shockwave as well. But this makes your job a bit easier. Someone's soaring through the sky thanks to a Hebo water spout.
Yeah, I guess it's not early in the draft if you're the Shockwaves. If you're just gonna choose knockup after knockup, it doesn't matter if the other team has leaps. They can just set up for themselves. And Hebo has so much burst damage. Adora going to be filling the same role as game one, has a little bit of a utility with that water carpet, and then just the absolute ability to 100 to 0 a backliner like Bakasura or Freya. And it's the E-Shell lock-in for Flourish. They are mixing it up. You know, you asked me what they should do with instead of the Zeus. E-Shell's not where my brain went, but I don't hate it with this comp.
It's definitely still not the most mobile pick, but you do have more tools to self-peel, and Kakolan as well. That's going to be some solid peel to your name. Talk to me about what these two gods being locked in for Flourish mean for their game plan.
It's a lot of sustain. I mean, E-Shell has 2 heals in her kit between the ultimate and her second ability that can help sustain during team fights, help sustain during poke battles around a fire giant. And Kakulin, I mean, he has the transformation, gives him a shield, so he's even harder to deal with. I feel like Flourish has kind of drafted a more front to back comp that just has the Bakasura there for dive, but they will be able to just walk at you as a unit, and if they can stay grouped up, it might be hard for the Shockwaves to deal with it, even if they have some good peel tools that the Geb has.
Speaking of peel, or maybe more so a lack of it, with King Arthur being the potential hover spin to win, that's an interesting idea, but no, they're going to opt instead for an Odin. I love that. I love that. You want a leap? We'll take you down. You don't have a leap? We'll cage you in. This is a fantastic pick here for the Shockwaves.
Yeah, you kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't here with the draft that the Shockwaves have locked in. This is a scary comp. At least there are some options for Flourish here. Obviously, you can get the Phantom Shell to try and get out of the Odin cage. Ganesh can use his dash to get through the cage on his own, which is always nice to have that matchup. But the Shockwaves have put together, you know, a good comp here. They have circles on circles in the way of Cataclysm plus the cage, which has been a combo since the beginning of Smite. You know, you just want to stack your circles. It's not a necessarily damage circles this time, but it's great setup for just allowing your backline to kind of free cast the entire time that Flourish is going to be CC'd and locked in a room. I feel like on paper, though, the drafts are a lot more even this time around.
Certainly is. Circles on circles is the name of the game. Who will win the geometry wars this time for game 2? Only one way to find out. Let's get right on into it with Nooblet and Zhatzz.
Thank you once again, Deelo and DoctahShru, and hello, Smite Draft League. Welcome back to game number 2, Immortal Division, Week 5, Seismic Shockwaves, and Flourish. I'm still iNooblet, joined in the desk by Zhatzz. Zhatzz, you've now gotten a little familiar with these players over the course of game 1. How do you feel about this game 2?
Well, first of all, Seismic Shockwave have won the draft. Everything about their comp is just perfect. The fact they managed to get a Wheelix into the Bakasura, I think it was a little bit early for the Bakasura, and they may well pay. We know that not being able to use that jump is going to be a big problem. You've got an Odin cage into it, as well as the fact that, hey, if you want to use your jump, you've got to consider, well, actually, there's an Odin cage on the board as well. There's so much that goes well for them. Early pressure already onto Realty. The Lunar Invocation, the heal coming out might just have been enough. But this is exactly what you want to see from szax, because it's the same as Ratatoska. Early game aggression. And I expect to see them turning up the side lane very, very soon.
That is exactly what I wanted to see from szax on this Awilix. Awilix controls an early game so well. the pressure and the mobility that a Willix brings is very hard to match with any god, but especially when Rushology is piloting this Bakasura. Everyone knows Bakasura is mid to late game god, one of the best to do it in the mid to late game, but early game, if you do not keep up with this Willix, you're gonna fall behind and you're never gonna get to that pentakill type god in the late game. So I'd love to see that blink right away from szax, as now he's making his way over here to the duo lane.
Big double whoop, but this is they're all just baiting again for szax to come on in and get the gank.
And he does leap straight in on DrKILLJOY. A nice knockup from the back. He's gonna survive to the tower, but POSTDRAMA, can he get out? He does have his dash, gonna go all the way back, and that was a good play by szax, a better play from Flourish. And honestly, I don't know how you feel about this. Oh, hold on, mid lane, Adora, 1 HP, cannot be any more than that. Keep your eye on Rushology. He might want this. He might want this first blood so bad that he blinks in, takes 2 tower shots, does not get Adora. Adora is going to live on that one. Shouldn't have, but does. But I like to see those plays from Flourish being aggressive like that.
I think it's going to be really important, especially with how game 1 went. He felt a little bit like a spare part on the Zeus. I do think the E-Shell has some value. Lots of you know, similar to the Zeus in that quite immobile, lots of damage on whoever's diving you, but also a bit more in terms of self-pill. You've got the knock-up, you've got the heal coming out, and you've got lots of movement as well in your kit. I do like the pick. The other thing that I like for in general is that their frontliner is going to be much, much more tanky. I think Spurman on this Cucullin is just going to be able to live in fights for so much longer than Onslaught. So I'm a big fan of that pick. You're going to get a ton of pressure over the Odin, and as much as the Odin works with the comp that the Shockwaves have got, the problem is the laning phase is going to be a bit rubbish for the Odin. It always is, and especially into a Cucullin. If you can leverage that a little bit, but blink in again, once again, but no mana for the Awilix, not going to be able to defend their own red buff.
Good invades there. Flourish just got a blue buff and a red buff, and now Rushology is going onto the speed buff. He might pay for it a little bit, but szax has no mana, and you can't out-secure that. That's 3 stolen buffs here in the 3rd minute. Excellent job. That is what you do as Bakasura. Going back to your points of the picks, I agree completely. I love Realty on this E-Shell. It is so similar to the playstyle of Morgan Le Fay, which is the god he is known for. I think we're going to see a lot from him on this one. And on the other side, the Cucullin on Spurman, exactly what you said. He is such a gifted player. Aritti going to dash in, wants to get some. A good Geb shield to cleanse the stun and knock up. But now it seems like it'll fizzle out here a little bit. But Spurman, he's such a talented player, but he likes to be aggressive because of his mechanical skill. And Lancelot can't really do that. But a Cucullin, you can go in the middle of 5 players and do whatever you want and probably win that fight. And I think that is going to have a massive impact here in this game too.
Yeah, full agree. And I think on the Cucullin, you're going to be looking not necessarily to kill Aritti or anyone on the back line, just to force out their ultimate, force out their relics, get them low enough, keep them out of the fight. If you're able to do that to the Hatchiman, and especially, I think, to the Hebo, stop the Hebo blinking in if Adora does choose to go that blink second relic. Just keep them out of the fight, and actually, you'll do just fine because you've got enough, once again, you've got enough shred on the backline with the Freya, with the Ganesh to help lock down. The Bakasura as well is going to help that a little bit more. I think that's a nice adjustment for them. Yeah, I'm a big fan if they can get to that stage. And again, as you say, the Cucullin, the pressure that it's going to bring, should mean that you will be able to develop a little bit of a lead in that solo lane, which, again, it was pretty even in that first game. There were no solo kills to speak of. It was mostly determined by the ganks that we saw. And so far, actually, szax has been kept quiet by the invading Bakasura, and I love to see this from Rushology.
Rushology just doing what Bakasura's do, keeping up the pressure. You can't leap away, though, because there's an Awilix. Gonna turn around and drop the ult and just try and get a trade before he dies. Very good try. Almost got the trade there, but First Blood going the way of Shockwaves, but not until Spurman gets there and gets one of his own. Dharmic Pillars and Realty are here. It is now a 3-on-3, and here comes the Hyper Beam from Realty. A great sustain and a great kill, and now 2 kills in the favor of Flourish, and a red buff for that matter, but First Blood going the way of Shockwaves.
Yeah, possibly a little bit over-aggressive from Rushology, you'd have to say, fighting a 1-3 there, using the ultimate right in front of the jump, I should say, right in front of Felix you're going to get ulted, but actually the turnaround damage is fantastic as soon as the Regurgitate comes out. Unfortunately, doesn't quite get the kill, but again, it's long enough that Spurman can rotate, the Dharmic Pillars comes in, and then the great end, the Hyper Beam, as you call it. I love that. Realty getting massive value out of that ultimate, hitting both friend and foe. It was fantastic to see a nice counter rotation, and they're now up in the kill department.
You see Scuffle over mid Harpies, just trying to get as much XP as they can their way, especially with the neutral farm. I know Shockwaves are going to be looking for a lot there, as their jungle has just been eaten away by this Bakasura. While we have some downtime, let me pose you a question about this HinduMan Geb. We know he loves it. We know he's great on it. Is there something to be said for allowing him to pick it? Because if you leave it open, you know his comfort pick, he's going to go to it. But that means that you can plan for it. And you know you don't expect Geb to be open and HinduMan to lock in a Jing 10 or something. So is that a strategy that you can take in as a team to say, he'll go Geb, let's build our draft around Geb and leave it open?
It's a very good point, and actually I think at this level that there's a lot said being unpredictable, and actually you're right, when you know they're going to pick up Geb, you can sort of draft into that. We know what their top two is going to be. And to be fair, they did it really well in game one. I think Flourish did a lot right with shutting down this Ganesh early, with the Ganesh, with the Sunder. Now that has changed a little bit, of course, because now POSTDRAMA feels, actually, I've got to get the shell online here nice and early. And already you're seeing the difference. HinduMan is a little bit behind, 2 levels down currently on POSTDRAMA. That is kind of Ganesh things anyway, but again, they're trying to commit onto the Geb.
Well, they've already used 2 ultimates, make that 3 as Great End comes out, and they just want to keep HinduMan down. They do get the kill, and Spurman now taking on a 2v1 and actually looking pretty good doing it. So let's take a look over at the duo lane where aritti is up pretty far. Remember, ultimates have already been used on the Geb. That one's going to fizzle out, but a great use. You tend to see that, because what is an early support going to do to that? Maybe you didn't need to use 3 ultimates, but if you don't plan on using them in the next 90 seconds, why not? And now, HinduMan, very far behind, 2 levels. And we do see Spurman pushing down Delvin. He's got that shield on a half-second cooldown, so he'll probably be fine. Gold Fury started up as well.
Like this. And I think they're going to get this pretty much for free. HinduMan's rolling in. Well, the horse is in, and actually, Flourish. Oh my goodness, they get a kill as well.
And then the fight afterwards, same story, different game. 2 have already fallen after the objective. Killjoy took to the skies, but will it be enough? A great root and a great knock-up. Great peel from the mid laner. Being the support here in this moment, HinduMan taking a couple tower shots. Killjoy still sticking around. HinduMan almost died, but now here is Spurman. Wants to get some, sees those low red health bars, and is thinking he might get a kill here. Objective is no more, so they can't go back to it, and they'll have to just retreat in. But what can we do to change that? Flourish has been good around objectives, but the fight afterwards, they keep losing. How do we fix that?
It's interesting, isn't it? Because that's been the pretty much this entire set so far. Certainly in game number 1, it was a problem. You know, I like the pull, and you know, Seismic Shockwaves have to go very, very to get some return kills to make that not quite as worth. Again, I just think we're seeing, as this goes on, we will see that there will be more space created. Spurman is already looking really, really potent on this Kukulkan. And I do think they have a better objective shred than before. I think with this Bakasura, combined with the Ganesh and the Freya, that will be a little bit easier. And again, if you're doing it quicker, then you straight up have more time to run and get away. Again, the problem is the lack of mobility and really the ability for Seismic Shockwaves to chase you down. It's not in the same way as a Janus or a Ratatoska with the power to keep up with you. It's actually the power to stop you in your tracks with that Odin ultimate, with that Wheelix ultimate, with the water carpet coming out from the door. They've got so many tools to slow you down, to stall you. So in the way, they're kind of doing the same thing. It's how can you really respond to that?
And Rushology going to get knocked up and pulled in straight back down, but POSTDRAMA is here to help. Rushology has used his ultimate, and it looks like the fight is turning. Woo! Here comes Realty. He gets the kills. szax no more, and HinduMan with nowhere to go. That's a double kill for Realty, which looked like an easy gank on an overstepping Bakasura. Immediately turned around It looks like the boys of Flourish are here to play as a team in this game too.
It feels like the two teams have actually swapped around with the way they're playing.
Yes.
I think Rushology has been able to do that a couple of times now. A perfect use of the ultimate to, one, avoid any CC, but more importantly, to stop szax from using that feather step. And actually, the cripple was really, really impactful. Got a ton of damage off. Bought time for POSTDRAMA to come in with a good Dharmic Pillars, very well placed, and then Realty cleaning up with that Gleaming Blast. The E-Shell, I think, has been the real difference maker, actually, compared to that Zhatzz in game number 1. You know, the damage output is as good as Zhatzz is at this stage, if not considerably better, just because you're living a lot longer. You know, we saw in the early game there were a couple of gank attempts from szax. You were able to actually live this time, and as a result, Realty has 3 kills to their name, 2-level lead, already nearly stacked. That Book of Thoth is going into more cooldown reduction. It's just a really good look for the mid laner of Flourish. And actually, if they are going to give Realty the chance to flourish, as it were, then they might be in for a much better time come these team fights.
Stygian Beacon has opened up. Could be the first fight. In game 1, we saw Flourish just give that one up, and now there are 4 members here. Staring down 5 members, and Killjoy is on his way. This could be the big 10-man brawl of this game, too. We'll see who presses the go button. Could be a Cataclysm, could be Spurman leaping into the backline, taking on 3, knocks them up. MiniDelvin obliges to their backline and cages them right now, but MiniDelvin is only half health. And we're going to see Valkyrie's Discretion go up. Realty going to get the first kill of this brawl. And here comes a great end from Realty to pick up HirezHinduman. 3 members of Shockwaves have to back off. 5 members of Flourish looking good, getting themselves a Stygian Beacon.
And you saw the difference in solo lane there. MiniDelvin kind of did their job, caged 2 backliners, but there's no follow-up because PeeWeSpurman was able to bait so incredibly long with I think 2 or 3 man knock-up. And that's the difference in the 2 solo laners at this stage. Odin is always capable of caging 3, 4, 5 members, but there has to be follow-up. But with the amount of space that this Cullen is creating, there was nothing, and the backlines didn't take any damage, and Odin can only do so much. And this is the big problem for them that they need to solve. How do you actually get enough follow-up to make this Odin cage worthwhile? And really, the only way to do that is not by taking that kind of big team fight. What they need to do is split up these fights, spread them out a bit, make sure that you maybe outnumber them, try and look for picks. That's what their comp is very good at. But actually, when you go for a straight 5v5 brawl, that will always favor Flourish with the team fight elements they have, the healing they have, and the zone control they have with this Cup, which I will keep raving about all game. But it's just been fabulous so far. That's going to be the big problem for me. But again, Seismic Shockwaves not out of it yet. You know, it's still early game, only 30 minutes in. They need to just tighten that up a bit. Make sure you're playing around what your comp is good at, and then they'll be just fine.
I think you said it perfectly. If you look at these comps, Shockwaves is clearly more single target damage gods. A Willix wants to blow up one person. That's all about all they're going to do at a time. MiniDelvin wants to cage a couple. Hebo wants to full knock up ult someone, although he could ult multiple. And then you look over at Flourish and their damage goes everywhere. So much CC, so many circles. The entire lane is going to be taken up. If they use that to their advantage, it'll be great. They start out Pyromancer here. szax waiting along the back, gonna throw out his 3 and not be enough, but goes in to try and steal it. Not gonna happen. Uses beads and a Geb shield to get out. But PeeWeSpurman is right there, and he is running down this T1, not scared. POSTDRAMA comes in, and Rushology leaps over the top. PeeWeSpurman going to get that one. Where's Adora going to go? He's going to ride the wave over to the T2, and POSTDRAMA going to get caged in, but there's enough room for him to live. And Realty's there to help out. HirezHinduman rolls in and knocks away Realty. POSTDRAMA was still a long way to go back to home, but it's looking good. Over in the left lane, we do see a bit of a scuffle. 1v1 doesn't look like they'll take it fully, but there is another great fight. This time, a round of an objective that started, but then Flourish went after the fight and won it. Not something we're used to seeing.
Yeah, I think that's one of those 10%ers when szax blinks in, tries to get the feather step to secure. You're never really going to win that, but Aegis has been forced already.
Oh, let's see if Valkyrie's discretion. There it is. Already nowhere to go. Great solo kill from DoctahShru. And that's why you pick the Freya. That's what you want to see. szax might leap in here. I can't use the blink because it's not available. Great whoop to just buy some time because Rushology has come in. szax with a feather step is not enough damage. HirezHinduman here to help. Rushology getting turned on, and he's gonna fall. HirezHinduman gets that kill and knocks Killjoy away to safety. Realty is lurking, but I think Shockwaves will get out with murder there.
Szax feeling very, very thankful that HirezHinduman rotated and helped out there. But again, they're not done. Realty's
They're going to
here.
keep pressing it. Realty gets another one. HirezHinduman, nowhere to go. A great Dharmic Pillars and a great whoop, and you're just done, Hindu. Killjoy going to get his kill of that skirmish. Now, 2-0-4 on the Freya, 6-0-2 on the E-Shell. This is the Realty we're used to seeing. This is the Flourish we're used to seeing outside of our regular season. Exactly how they needed to come into this game.
It's unbelievable that there's such a stark difference we see between game number 1 and game number 2. Killjoy has generally been given a lot more room to play this game, and again, that's partly because Rushology did such a good job at the 5-minute mark to keep this Awilix down. And as we know, Awilix, when she's not ahead, can really struggle because she's so single target based and so reliant on that early base damage and getting a good pull on that ult. If that doesn't come off, and we saw how to use the gravity surge just to try and get some damage, it's not really going to work out in your favor. Luckily, there was a HirezHinduman and a Stone Shield coming help out, but again, just a slight... It's not even an overstay, but that's how much they have to commit at this point of the game, such as the Gold League. They have to commit so much just to try and get some kind of return kill. In the end, it takes them too long. They lose a couple more picks, and again, credit must go to Realty, who 3 levels up on this E-Shell. I do think that the difference is incredible because Adora has not been able to get into this game at all. Has gone into the Tablet of Destinies, a lot slower, this build. Also, you just can't really get into a fight. Your water spout damage is just irrelevant at level 14 at 17 minutes in. You need to find a way to get Adora into the game, and with no blink available either, and not much engage. That's a big concern for me.
And Gold Fury started up again. Flourish has already had 2. Let's see if they learned anything around objectives for this next one. The cage has been dropped. POSTDRAMA gets out of it with the dash. And Spurman, look at him in the back line, just making moves, and everyone's going away. POSTDRAMA now catches 2 in the Dharmic Pillars. HirezHinduman and MiniDelvin looking in trouble. A Cataclysm buys about 2 seconds. It's not enough. Killjoy gonna get a kill. And then HirezHinduman dropped as well. This is what we wanted to see around the objective. Start it up. If they come in, drop it and use your team kit to destroy them and then go back to the Gold Fury. That's exactly what they did, and they're going to get this one for free and maybe head over to the Stygian Beacon where they're trying to get it a blink past the 3, and Rushology going to beads it. Crushing Wave going to do not enough damage. Adora is nowhere to go now. Here comes the laser beam. It's healing Spurman and it's dealing damage to Adora, and Realty is going to get that one. And now a T1 looking in trouble, but a Stygian Beacon looking free.
It's all going in their favor, and you're absolutely right. It's all about the clean disengage as soon as that Odin cage was dropped. And actually, to be fair, it was probably Spurman yelling, "I've got a 3-man knock-up, someone come with me." And an enormous difference again in the solo lanes. There's nothing to do with ability. It's to do with the fact that this god just does more at this stage of the game. And the Odin MiniDelvin is really trying, but there's really nothing you can do at this point. And again, it's super, super clean Flourish.
Same strategy, different objective. They drop it for the time being and engage the enemy. Cage has been dropped, but you're locked in there with 4 members. Pyromancer still being leashed, still under half health. szax is going to come in and try and make something happen. Spurman knocking up 2, and a Cataclysm making 3 less than half health, and now 2 have already dropped. Aritti with a double kill. 1 has fallen on the side of Shockwaves, but the fight's not over. Killjoy looking for another. He's going to get a double. This fight is split and could go either way. POSTDRAMA just trying to do what he can before he inevitably falls. Crushing Wave going to take him out of this one. And Realty trying to get away from an Odin, a nice Aegis, just to save his life, and a better route to create some distance. Killjoy off in the jungle. Probably not going to contest this one now, but a 3 for 2. Honestly, kind of dead even on how that went, other than the Pyromancer is probably going to go the way of Shockwaves.
Yeah, 3 for 2, and frankly, you will absolutely take that. Plus, the Pyromancer is a free bonus. You're not too concerned. Killjoy is stepping up here, and actually, a level 18 Freya, clearly quite a bit scary, but they could turn on him here.
Look in the back line. Spurman's coming in to help the squad. Killjoy with a nice Aegis to buy time. Spurman looking at Adora. Adora looking unhealthy. And a great end to Adora's life. Actually going to go credited to PeeWeSpurman there in the Kokolin. didn't get Pyro. Seismic Shockwaves looking like game one. Flourish picked up the Pyromancer, didn't get it, didn't get the fight afterwards. This one should be going the way of Flourish as Rushology makes space. Shockwaves don't want any part of that Bakasura, who does have ult.
It's interesting that both teams sort of made the same mistake there. That's massive, isn't it? But they both sort of, I think, stayed too long, and they didn't take what win they had and then just kind of go away and utilize that more. Because actually, that was the best fight that Seismic Shockwaves have had in a very long time, and it was as a result of Flourish having done a ton of objectives, hadn't backed in a while, health bars weren't at their best, and so they were actually able to win a fight for once. They were able to kill Spurman on the backside. That was crucial to them winning that fight, and that's great for them. They need that. And then they just stay way too long. They try and take a Pyromancer, but they're not sure. Well, hang on, Killjoy's here. Can we kill Killjoy? But again, it's the theme of the game. It just takes too long to kill this Freya somehow. And as a result, they end up going from what was just about a positive position to a completely losing one once again.
Aritti gonna hop on the horse, but can't get far enough away as Rushology is gonna drop the ult, and DRxKILLJOY as well. That one probably gifted to Rushology from POSTDRAMA, but that's gonna be a kill caught out way too far. They're just keeping this train rolling. A commanding 8K lead, 22 minutes in, as now an Oni Fury is gonna come up. They've already got 3 Furies. They've got a couple Pyromancers. They won a lot of fights, 18-7. Is this game over for Shockwaves? And if not, how do you get back in? We do see a scuffle up and top by the green buff. Rushology and POSTDRAMA trying to continue this and press the issue. HirezHinduman holding down the front line. Had to use shield on himself, but he is unhealthy, and it doesn't look like anybody is here that's going to be able to step up appropriately to this Oni Fury.
I think the thing is, at 22 minutes, it feels like Seismic Shockwaves aren't going to feel any more head shredding through. Just the Odin already half HP.
Just too much damage. And Spurman now taking on 3, as is tradition, with a big knockup on 3, saying, hey, huge damage, huge knockup, go, go, go. A cage going to stop the advance for the time being, but HirezHinduman went in to help and is now in trouble himself. Somehow made it past the DRxKILLJOYs and is going to roll out to mid lane. Now, health bars, about even. 2 members on Shockwaves pretty low, 2 members on Flourish pretty low, but they have control of the Oni Fury pit. Shockwaves tried to step up, didn't work out. Doubt they'll step up to this one.
I don't really know how Seismic Shockwaves are actually... They're not winning these fights, but they're not losing them as massively as I think, as the Aegis Rushology might have overstepped, but will avoid the stun, and backup's on the way.
And this is just a good answer from Flourish. They're no longer playing like good individuals. They're playing like a bunch of good individuals who are also on a team together. And when they started the fight, now it's been counter-engaged. A blink cataclysm from Geb. It's looking like trouble for Flourish. 1 is already down. 2 is down both the way of Adora. Killjoy on the wrong side of the map with 3 people, and he has no escape. Odin gonna land down and get that one. 3 people dead in the blink of an eye. When you thought Flourish was just running away from this game, all of a sudden Shockwaves turn around and say, hey, 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 we're still here and we still want to win this set.
We've seen glimpses of it earlier on in this game. You just have to take your win and go with it, because if you think about how long that sort of fight had been going on, a couple of attempts at gold falls before Flourish were eventually able to get it. Think how much gold they must have had in hand for that fight. And actually, Seismic Shockwaves come back in, and they know that they can actually win the fight, and they do handedly. And I think a lot of that is coming down to Disco Cullen is suddenly not as tanky as he was 10 minutes ago.
1v1 at the Stygian Beacon. Realty wins that one. Assassin who? Mage wins the battle of Stygian Beacon, is going to capture it for their team. But a tier 2 off the back of 1 botched fight. A tier 1 and a tier 2 have gone down for the Shockwaves, and what was a commanding 8K lead is barely a 5K lead now for Flourish. Things are starting to slide, and how do we stop it if we're Flourish?
I think the problem is that, I mean, they're still in a good position, right? But you need to somehow figure out, well, how can we get, I think, Rushology to get onto a target more, because they're not really sure who they're focusing at this point. MiniDelvin is proving to be a problem, I think, with the tankiness that's coming through. You only have so many Sunders, and actually there are almost too many shields about for the Shockwaves that actually you need to be a bit more selective about who you're sundering, because they are sort of struggling that little bit more to just focus down one individual target. And I think part of that is when you look at this Bakasura, got the kin size online, got some pen, got the hastened online, but actually, who are you really targeting if you're this Bakasura? You're going to struggle to keep up with Adora, who has the movement speed on the carpet and the slow immunity. Hatchiman, similar kind of problem, very mobile. I think that's the big problem for me, is how can you get Rushology into this game more, because everyone else is doing fine.
Pyromancer goes the way of Flourish and a late Cataclysm from HinduMan. Now we're all trapped in an MMA cage, and let's see how the fight goes. Realty having to take on 2 people in the back. Gonna get pulled in, but beats it as Rushology did pick up someone immediately during the fight. Killjoy gonna get Zhatzz off a good grab from POSTDRAMA, and now 2 people dead on the Shockwaves. They engaged. They started it. It was a huge Cataclysm, and they lost the fight. It's literally like a Freaky Friday game 1. This is exactly what was happening to Flourish, and we were waiting for them to clean it up, and now Shockwaves are doing the terrible deeds of engaging on objectives and not winning the fight.
And the problem there was that while the engage was fantastic, and you're correct, it was by far the best sort of initiation we've seen from the Shockwaves so far, aritti just wasn't there, and was about 10 seconds away from that fight. And that, I think they would have won that fight had they got their Hatchiman there. But now it means the door is open for them to actually pull this Fire Giant with Titans pushing down the right-hand side.
Yeah, Fire Giant is half health. It's not EFG, but it'll certainly help them. Rushology trying to take on a couple people in the back line. Leaps away, but the leap is caught by Odin, who cages him immediately. He's going to be out here soon, but not before Adora can burst him down. HinduMan is going to come into the fight. Dharmic Pillars have been used. Cataclysm just to stop POSTDRAMA from going any further. So that's a big team fight off the table as Fire Giant went the way of Flourish. How do they use this Fire Giant, though, is the key. You have a lead. The lead has dwindled a little bit, but you're definitely in control of this game. What do you want to see them do with the Fire Giant? They already have 4 Gold Furies under their belt.
I think they rightly need to play this a little bit cautiously. They need to respect that Shockwaves have been pretty handy in some of these. They shouldn't take anything for granted. The fact that they are man down, it's not enhanced Fire Giant yet. They need to be very careful.
Good whoop to stop the engagement of the solo laner, but meanwhile Flourish is pushing the issue. Spurman pulled in, but that is a tanky individual to pull into your front. But wow, POSTDRAMA erased by aritti. DRkILLJOY gets Adora, but where's Spurman gonna go? A nice knock up and feather step. szax gonna get 1. Odin had got another, and Realty, the man who has not died all game, is going to fall in a double kill. 4 people down. Rushology is the only one alive. Fire Giant, they had Fire Giant, and they just lost a massive objective fight when they have not lost an objective fight all game, and now Shockwaves are pushing it down. But eyes on Rushology bursting in. This is the god you want to try and take on 4 people. He has ulted. Things are ticking. Everyone is low health, but it's not enough. A full deicide for the Shockwaves walking into mid Phoenix.
Heartbreaking to see, and I just think you have to respect that. Hang on, we've got a Fire Giant, but this is a 4v5. Seismic Shockwaves, whoever shot calling, they know exactly. Hang on, we've got the numbers advantage here. We're shredding this Cullen really a bit too easily for my liking. And again, I think the problem is that Rushology isn't able to dive with the Cullen. That needs to be something that Flourish do if they want to finish out, close out this game and win. But again, it's great recognition from Seismic Shockwaves. They identify the targets correctly. It's good space being created by MiniDelvin. I think the Odin cage is feeling a lot more effective now, and that's partly because, yes, szax is kind of on the back line a bit more, but actually HirezHinduman is almost playing more and support this game. And actually, it's working really, really well to keep the backline out, make sure they're killing the Cullen first. And I said, this is a really pick-oriented comp. When they're able to do that and kill off the solo laner, then they're always going to win with a numbers advantage.
It looks like we have a pause coming out, so we'll throw it back to the desk for an analysis as we take a short break here in the booth, and we will see you in just a moment.
Hello, everyone, and welcome on back here. Been an exciting one here with Game 2. DoctahShru, talk to me about what we've been seeing throughout this game.
It's been night and day. Flourish is looking so good. You take Adora off the Giannis, you put Realty on the E-Shell. I guess that is just the equation to make things go their way. Realty unfortunately fell there in that last team fight, but he's looked so good on this E-Shell. It's just been working out so well in their favor. Unfortunately, though, it seems like Shockwaves starting to find their footing again and answering back, deleting Fire Giant off of everybody.
That's scary, man. It's so frustrating when you feel like everything you've been doing up to this point has kind of shored up the flaws, filled in the gaps of where we're seeing in game one, and you still can't crack the walnut, still can't break open the stone giant that is Hindu and the rest of the team. What do we think is going to be the clinching factor for Flourish to maybe get that edge back and turn it into a game 2 victory?
I think they gotta just try and stick to the game plan they've been having all game. Don't get shaken up by losing one team fight. It's unfortunate that it didn't go your way, but they've been playing so well as a unit throughout the entirety of game 2 so far. Continue to let this Cucullin make near infinite space in the backline and let Realty kind of lead the charge from that backline, just getting off so much damage, so much sustain. It's been working out for them so far. I hope that they continue to just play their own game, because it seems to have found some sort of advantage over the Shockwaves here.
For sure. Would love to see them ramp this up into a game 2 victory, because then that would just mean more gameplay for us to watch over and a desk over. But that being said, Pause Believe will be over. We'll be right back in with game 2.
Welcome back, Smite Draft League fans. We were past the break. It was just a player DC, so we had that sorted out real quick, and now we're back to the action. If you're just now joining us, you may think, wow, this is a really close game. This is pretty awesome 30 minutes in as we see a Pyromancer go the way of Flourish. But actually, 8 minutes ago, this was a very different story. There was a commanding 9K lead, both in experience and gold. And now it is dead even. How we got there is anybody's guess, as we see Flourish pushing down the mid lane.
It's been a remarkable turnaround, and that was considering that had the Fire Giant and again, they took a fight which you're never going to win when you're a man down. That's been the big problem for me. How Rushology, I think, has played the early game really, really well and kept the Awilix pretty much almost irrelevant, I was going to say, in this game. Although I think Zhatzz has been really important in killing this Cucullin quickly. And now, actually, Seismic Shockwaves feel like they've got the advantage. They're looking to dive and kill Rushology.
Oh no, Rushology stopped for a second to look back, thinking he was safe under the T2, and that was just enough to catch him on the edge of Cataclysm. An easy pickup for Shockwaves. Take a look over here at Fire Giant Pit. szax in a similar situation. HirezHinduman and MiniDelvin going to come in, but a nice double whoop to stop them in their tracks. Take a look at the back line of Shockwaves, though. They're in a very good spot to throw out some damage. PeeWeSpurman going to get in there and try and change that. A grab onto Adora. He's going to respond with the Crushing Wave. Killjoy in a bit of trouble. MiniDelvin just pushing Realty away. He does not want him in this fight. Spurman pulled back in with the Gravity Surge, looking very unhealthy. He's got to get by a MiniDelvin to get out. It looks like he might, and the knock-up not enough. He got a small hill before it, but Killjoy gets knocked up, and he's dead. Realty now with nowhere to go. MiniDelvin blocked him in. POSTDRAMA trying to fight for his life, dead as well to Adora. Spurman, the only one living. And now, one Phoenix down in the mid lane. A lot of fire minions pushing in. They might look to end here. Not all super healthy, and you do have Rushology spawning. Their solo lane and your Bakasura might be the two best people to defend this. Spurman already pushing down onto the enemy hunter. HirezHinduman looking low, and there's a big Cataclysm in a cage to keep him in, but Rushology gets two before he dies. Hinduman trying to roll out as PeeWeSpurman got one, and now he's going to go into Adora with a double kill. A successful defense. Get out of our base. Huge defense, mostly from Spurman. Great help from Rushology.
Yeah, the health bars were just too low for that ankle. I don't mind it, but it felt like all the momentum was, but just a little too much to ask. I think if they'd managed to kill off that Cucullin in that end fight, and there was, I think, a tiny tick of healing off that great end from Realty around that tier 2 tower through the wall that kept PeeWeSpurman alive. We're talking about tiny little details like that, kept him alive. He came back from the fountain full HP, and actually was a big reason as to why they were able to defend that Titan with such low numbers. And a brilliant job. You have to say, I don't mind the call from Shockwaves. I think they felt that even though they got a good team fight and a good wipe, pretty much, they felt that this is the kind of game where they need to go for that kind of end call, because it's still not in their. But in the end, they end up losing out for it, and they don't get much in response because the middle Phoenix has actually respawned.
Yeah, it was scary aggression from Shockwaves, but great signs of life from Flourish as now the Fire Giant is probably going to be a 50-50 split here, and 3 ults committed. 2 from the supports, 1 from the solo. Realty trying to live and heal his team. Not going to be enough. HinduMan going to pick up another kill here onto the Geb. Spurman trying to keep him at bay so the team has time to get out. It's going to have to use the ult, but MiniDelvin is chasing. He has a stun. He doesn't have a cage. Going to catch POSTDRAMA under the T2. Not enough there. Rushology in the back. Whoa. Not enough to kill szax. POSTDRAMA and PeeWeSpurman and Killjoy gotta run. But one thing that didn't go unnoticed is the Fire Giant, which is an EFG, was secured by Flourish and is now in the belt of 3 people, one being the one you really wanted on, and that's the carry. Can they capitalize on this as they're staring down another defense? MiniDelvin blinks straight in onto the Freya, but that's an EFG Freya, buddy, and you gotta walk through Dharmic Pillars to get out. Looks like this siege is probably gonna be more work than the Shockwaves thought it might be.
Yeah, I thought maybe that probably wasn't worthwhile getting EFG, but 2 pretty important members, including Realty, of course, and it will open the door to base once again, but the defense is looking pretty strong here.
Round 2, same Phoenix. Adora takes out Killjoy immediately. No Freya to help this time. In the mid lane, you see PeeWeSpurman putting in work, gonna clean up szax. HirezHinduman, 1 HP, gonna roll out for his life. A good defense, but you didn't save the birds. Now the throne room is busted wide open. 2 waves. Fire minions going to be pouring down, but PeeWeSpurman TP'd into the back behind them. A great move, but he didn't see HinduMan, who still gets out for free. Like the idea, but who do you think had the better one of that? Did you like the defense that stopped potentially an end call, or did you appreciate the siege that got 2 birds?
I think that still just about favors take 2 Phoenixes off the board before you had, well, half if you're counting the mid Phoenix, and I do think maybe you could have left that mid Phoenix and just gone full on for the defense of the right hand side, because it didn't look too bad with the enhanced Fire Giant and with this Freya swinging pretty well. I think if you had Rushology on their right hand side as well, you may have defended it, and they probably wouldn't have got anything more having had to commit a little bit to that mid Phoenix. So I maybe would have liked to have seen that instead of splitting up, but at the end of the day, I don't think it was worth that enhanced Fire Giant, because the play from the 2 frontliners, the 2 tanks, onto Realty to cage in against the Fire Giant, you're basically fighting at a massive disadvantage, because Fire Giant is basically working against you, or indeed for you if you're Waves, and as a result, they're able to get 2 really crucial picks. They've managed to get EFG off of Killjoy well. It's not a good look here, and despite again that the gold lead is barely worth mentioning, it's basically, even at this point, it feels like Seismic Shockwaves have all the momentum, and that's because they're actually playing the game at their pace. They're initiating, they're taking the fights that they want, they're getting these really important picks before team fights even happen. And actually Flourish, they need to make sure that they can actually team fight on a straight 5v5, because they haven't done that in a very long time, and as a result, it feels like they're losing massively because of it.
Yeah, and 37 minutes in, we are beyond mid-game. We are certainly beyond late game, so 2 Phoenixes down and an Oni Fury, but Golden XP doesn't matter at this point because everyone is full build, everyone is full 20, so it's all going to come down to player skill and how you work as a team. And let's check it out. Killjoy immediately takes Adora off this map. It was a good engage from MiniDelvin, but a better counter engage from Flourish, who Spurman and POSTDRAMA just dived backline, and now they're walking it down. MiniDelvin's going to get a whoop and a root and gonna be gone. Realty picking up his 10th kill this game. Rushology left to clean up the fire minions that are pouring in. Looks like Shockwaves have a pretty good distance. Didn't even touch the Phoenix, and that's what we're talking about. Like I said, does not matter who's in the lead now. Does not matter what happened the previous 37 minutes of this game. Now it is, can you play better than them? You have nothing left to buy besides power pots. You have nothing really left to defend. Is your strategy better than theirs, and do you have a mechanical diff than the other players?
And I have to say, they were, I think, a little bit lucky on that. Again, with how the map state is, you know, you've got to defend these fire minions. I think they were well that Rushology was having to defend. And the fact is, I didn't like the engage from MiniDelvin. I think a lot has been done right, but when you're diving a Phoenix and you're going that deep to get a cage, your backline is never going to be able to get close enough for any kind of follow-up. And I think that was the big problem for me. But also the fact that you could have just waited for another wave, another 30 seconds, and those fire-only waves were spilling into Titan. More members of Seismic Flourish, I say, or Seismic Shockwaves would have had to leave their base, go and defend the Titan. But actually, they chose not to wait. They chose to get in a little bit too early, a little bit too aggressive. And as a result, they don't get anything off it. Now all Phoenixes are up. Firewaves are nearly gone. We're back to even game.
Seems like MiniDelvin on the Odin would have agreed with you on that engage and how it felt as he sold his first item, changed it out, but now a new EFG, and it's still going the way of Flourish. They steal it away despite not having any part of starting it up. PeeWeSpurman's gonna pay for it, but man, this could be great for Flourish. 4 members still with EFG on their belt. They just got to get back to base. On the right side, they're getting caught out. PostDRAMA is going to get stunned here in a second, and Valkyrie's discretion is already used. Whoop off the mark, and Rushology goes in to try and buy some time for the squad. Can they get out? A good knock-up, a good land from the Odin. They're almost back to base. They're gonna live after it. PeeWeSpurman so far the only one who sacrificed his life, but they're coming in. Here come the Shockwaves, a good whoop to change the targeting of the Phoenix. And now HirezHinduman gonna get caught by PostDRAMA. Realty gonna clean that up with a great end. And here comes the Dharmic Pillars now. They're running it down. Rushology gets one. The rest are solo. Crushing Wave goes back the other direction. And Realty has a double kill, but not before he pays with his life. There's still 3 members alive and with EFG on Flourish. There's 3 members dead on Shockwaves, and the rest are running for their life. But explain that fight, break it down to me. What went right, what went wrong, and where are we currently at?
I just think that's super worth it for Flourish. It's a great attempt. I think Seismic Shockwaves, they haven't learned the lessons about it. They cannot take it while there are 4, 5, even 3 members on the map. That's too risky. And we saw that wasn't even about the fight. That was about the steal. And then Seismic Shockwaves try and get something off there, but they can't even break the base.
And now they're going straight for the middle Phoenix, and they're just going to melt it. Of course, they have EFG. And now Flourish are the ones coming into the Titan throne room. And a huge knockup on szax just to mind his business. DrKILLJOY deletes him. A quarter of his HP is nothing. Titan at 3/4 health. MiniDelvin looking very low. Here's HinduMan. He comes in with a cataclysm. And Delvin over the top. PostDRAMA will survive that one, and they're all going to leave. They're going to leave. The siege is no good. They have 2 tier 2s still up. The Titan is too tanky. They wanted it, and they couldn't get it.
Unbelievable stuff, and both teams have attempted that, and both teams have failed. And I think it's just never going to be enough. You do have enhanced fire giant on your 2 carries. That's really important. But actually, there are still tier 2 towers on the map. That's going to make the Titan that much tankier. You've only taken 1 Phoenix off the map. I think they lost their heads a little bit there. They felt, oh yeah, we can win this game. We can take this to a game 3. We've got a chance here, but I think a cooler head would have gone, actually, we need to slow play this. We need to just hold out a little bit longer. We need to take these towers off the map, get another Primal Fury if you want, but clean up the rest of these objectives. Don't go for the end there, and I think they'll suddenly feel that they're in a much stronger position. But as a result, the Shockwaves are still in the game. Their Titan's still healthy. There are 2 weakened Phoenixes on the map. They're running out of Enhanced Fire Giant. They don't need to worry about that so much now. It feels like we are once again back to square one.
And I like what you said. They need to clean up these objectives, and it looks like they will. They still have EFG, meaning they're going to shred through these towers. They're not very happy about how tanky that Titan was, but I love to see them go into throne room there. It says something about the mentality of these players that they've worked so hard over this game too. They feel like they deserve this win. They want this win. They want to change the trajectory of their Season 3. And it was worth a shot, and honestly, it looked good. It's just too barely strong of defense. Put maybe 10 more seconds on HinduMan's spawn time, and you might have that. They're going to clean up that left side tier 2, and the Pyromancer gives themselves another bomb. And now, EFG, not up for another full minute. A T2 still on the right side. Where would you like them to go from here? It's looking like they want a jungle fight.
Yeah, I think they can have a go at this final tower. Don't Seismic Shockwaves will mind too much. They can look for a little defense, see how they're doing with the poke, but they're going to give it up. They do have to defend that mid Phoenix, and priority will be to get that mid Phoenix back up as soon as possible. Now, you will have to defend Firewaves, but the fact they're in mid lane, you'll still be able to stick around this next enhanced Fire Giant when it spawns. So you'll be in a perfectly fine position to defend this. And as I say, this next enhanced Fire Giant will win the game, I think. And it's all about actually who's willing to tank it, because you need to be careful about that. If you do that and then try and take you will lose what is essentially a 6-5. You have to be very careful. You have to be very cautious. Make sure you get your picks. Make sure you're using cooldowns properly on the right targets. If you're able to prioritize, you know, the Hebo or the, I suppose the Odin would be a decent target. If you're able to do that, then you can start looking at these Hanson Fire Giants. But you have to get a number of picks before you can even consider doing it.
This is an interesting look from Flourish here. They did have control of the Fire Giant pit. They got all the objectives off the map. They got the T2 and they pushed up, almost trying to set an ambush in the jungle for Shockwaves. And then when it got time for EFG to spawn, they backed up and they gave up control of this Fire Giant pit. Now Shockwaves coming in, warding it out, posturing around how they want. Now they have lost the control of this, and we may just see a Fire Giant dance for a little bit. But 45 minutes into this game, you got to imagine the next person that takes this EFG takes this game.
I think both teams are actually a little bit scared of the other, but also I think on their mind is, as I keep mentioning, I keep harping on about, you shouldn't be pulling Fire Giant. As long as you're not looking to commit to it, if you're looking to bait to it, that's perfectly fine. And actually, I think this might be okay. They're clearly not committing to it. They want to draw in the Seismic Shockwaves, get them into unfamiliar territory, get them on their own ground, and actually then start using your. But the problem is both teams want to do this. Neither team wants to full-on commit to a Fire Giant. Neither team wants to lose any members or get picked, because that's what the other team is trying to do.
Oh,
so
speaking of getting picked, szax out alone in the solo lane and just gone. Just gone. No more part of this fight. And POSTDRAMA has said, I understand what we're doing, has run at the other four and used Dharmic Pillars to slow him down. Rushology going to get knocked up, so there's a little bit of poke off on him. He might think twice about diving now. Cage has been dropped.
Wow.
So far, a whole lot of nothing coming out of everybody, but it is a 5-on-4, and Flourish want this EFG. They're going to start it up. Let's see if they full commit or if they drop it and take the fight. Adora does still have ult, and he's hanging out on the left side of the jungle, and Spurman has started everything against all four. He's going to chase down, and there goes the crushing wave. It's out of here. That's a great steal objective, but look at the fight happening. Rushology just cleanly takes MiniDelvin out of here. Now a front line is not even an issue, and the second part of the front line is gone too. Rushology with the double. What can you do now? 3 people down. You don't have a good steal. You've just given up your right to this EFG. Looked for a second like Flourish was going to back, but no, they are going to start it up. They want this one.
I thought they were going to back, and I'm thinking, no, have to. This is the freest enhanced Fire Giant. They know that Adora was pushed out, and again, there's no tanks available for the Shockwaves to steal this. Enhanced Fire Giant, 47 minutes, will go to Flourish. You have to say, now it feels like it's in their favor again, as long as they play it carefully, use the map to your advantage, get everything else off the board, spend your gold, and then start to look at these Phoenixes, because I do think that the siege defense from Seismic Shockwaves is pretty poor, you have to say. But that felt like that was the first time that we saw the dive really work well for Flourish. It was Spurman, it was Rushology diving at the same time, and even though they were hitting essentially different targets, they were so perfectly positioned, and it meant that the backline went untouched and everything went right for them. And that's the first time that we've seen these two frontliners actually dive together, coordinate their efforts really, really well.
A really fun macro that happened there was probably the first objective in the last 47 minutes and 32 minutes of game 1 that we've seen Flourish not have to battle on the way out after the objective. They got it clean, they reset, they have all 5 members with EFG, they can take a breath and they can make a plan. And it looks like that plan is probably come get this left side Phoenix, which we are all in agreement is the best Phoenix to get furthest away from the Fire Giant pit. Meaning if we have to make another EFG stance, you have pressure going your way. Spurman going to get pulled over to the wall there, but again, that's the tankiest human to pull into your team. Dharmic Pillars goes in to assist him, but Spurman Gonna be all right. Half health, has TP to come back in. Rushology causing problems in the mid lane. What do you think? You go for this unhealthy Phoenix in mid? Do you try in that siege again on left? Where do you go?
Well, they didn't push out the minions, so actually, if they want to left Phoenix, they would have to wait a little bit. Now, there are Oni waves coming. Time, so the Oni waves are a little bit delayed as well. They are taking their sweet time over this, and I don't mind. They know ultimate's down, though. This is their window to go in.
And they are going to go in indeed. Spurman tanking it up, and now he's very low, and he gets stopped by the cage on the way out.
What a cage.
A beautiful cage. POSTDRAMA also stuck in there, and he's going to be gone. Frontline just doesn't exist anymore. Rushology going to win the 1v1 on szax. No surprise there. Hard to 1v1 a DRxKILLJOY. We have Oni waves pushing up that right side, and we have both of the backliners of Flourish running away. Rushology just detonates that Phoenix on the right side. It was just gone in an instant. HirezHinduman trying to stop him from doing anything else. And now KILLJOY and Realty taking on 3. Here comes aritti. Those autos hurt so much. Adora going to crush a wave just to close the distance and immediately deletes Realty. KILLJOY going to use Aegis, but you got to imagine he's just buying time here as Rushology in the back got another Phoenix. Adora finally gets the double kill, cleaning up the back line. But you are going to run it down mid. What now with 3 members while Rushology is just taking everything in your base, and he has stopped the waves. He's going to get a kill onto Hindu. Someone come deal with this DRxKILLJOY. He's zoning. He's taking all of the minions, and now look at these guys waiting at the Phoenix because there's no one to help. There's no minion wave. Rushology's going to try and take on the Titan. MiniDelvin locks him in, and yeah, he's not going to be able to get that one. But look at the members of Shockwaves standing there with nothing to do. A beans coming out of Adora. Might have been a little scared on the TP, not knowing it was his teammate. But Rushology, hands down, just saved that. He got Phoenixes. He stopped the waves. There was nothing to do for Shockwaves but stand there and wish they could take that Phoenix.
4 members down. Rushology, the only one alive, and salvages something. And I say something. It's actually quite a lot.
Yes.
Got 2 Phoenixes. Fantastic work. Get a kill onto HirezHinduman as well, and actually caused so much problems because I liked what they did there, Flourish. I think they knew that they could send Odin back, just make sure that Rushology can't end the game on their own. The cage was fine. They did that. They stopped the ankle, and they were going to TP Odin back in, but then the calls got funny. One of them back, then Odin TP'd, so in the end, they get nothing off of it.
And it looks like we have a second pause coming out here 50 minutes in, so we'll have to hold off on what happens at the end of this game as we throw it to the desk for just a quick break.
What's that? 50-minute Hachiman game? Oh, sorry. We'll snooze in there. What's up, Doc? Welcome back here to the desk, everyone. Game 2, man. Back and forth. Pitted action against each other. Everyone's at the opposing members' throats. Flourish for Seismic Shockwaves. Doc, what's been going on?
Rushology just did the Lord's work right there. That should have been a mid-Phoenix taken down. But his presence alone, not only did he get 2 Phoenixes, he threatened the end enough that the Shockwaves couldn't even take a Phoenix in response. They felt like they were just in shambles trying to figure out how to deal with this DRxKILLJOY, and they really weren't able to. He just did everything to make sure Flourish still had the advantage.
Rushology was the first pick on the side of Flourish when DKJ was forming this team, and it's proving to pay off in dividends right there. Absolutely doing, as you said, the Lord's work, knocking from Phoenix to Phoenix like a Jehovah's Witness, trying to spread the good word of the Great Devourer. But it's not a word that Seismic Shockwaves want to hear. What is either team's win condition here that they need to play around further? They both seem to have the victory, the W's on the tip of their tongue, but they just can't spit it out.
I think it has to be a deicide. I would have said, 10 minutes ago, you kill 3 to 4 members is probably enough to win the game when you're this late. But Flourish just showed that they all need to be dead if the Shockwaves are going to be able to do anything with it. And, as well as they've been doing, Flourish haven't been able to end the game either. I think it's going to need to be a clean fight of killing all 5 members on one team or the other before we're going to be seeing end. Because, this game is just continually going back and forth. It's such a great game to see.
Tensions are high. Each team saying, if you want this victory, pry it from our cold, dead hands. Gonna have to see which team obliges. Game 2 coming right back at you in a moment.
Thank you once more to our friends on the desk for holding down the fort during that break. We are back. iNooblet and Zhatzz in this week 5 banger of a set. Flourish and Seismic Shockwaves. No real telling who's going to take this one. But in the depths of game 2, 51 minutes in, Flourish have a commanding lead. And it looks really good for them. Zhatzz, what can we expect in these next couple minutes?
I think, again, that they're going to look to focus around this. Make sure you use that map pressure. You've got Firewaves pushing now. It's on the Fire Giant side, so that will be easier to defend if you're Seismic Shockwaves, but just get lots of aggressive wards out, lots of deep wards out in the enemy jungle, and make sure you are in prime position, because last thing you want to happen is you don't want to get picked off by this Seismic Shockwaves comp, because really that's what they're looking for. They're looking for a cheeky little pick like this one.
Yeah, and it looks like they're going to take the fight around EFG, but
That's a big
if
commit.
we keep our eyes on the bottom of the mini-map here, Zhatzz,
Ooh,
what's
spicy.
happening here? It looks like they're going to get themselves a little Phoenix while everything's going on over the EFG.
Wow.
And we do see Flourish still hanging on to that EFG. They don't notice yet, and that's going to be a free mid-bird for Seismic Shockwave. Wait, they're going into the Titan room.
Ooh, they come back.
Seismic Shockwaves are gonna backdoor them, and look at Flourish, they're still on the EFG. They don't know, or they don't care, or they can't get back. And Seismic Shockwaves, 25% HP, and they have stolen the game. They've stolen it from Flourish. That's a 2-0 for Shockwaves. And can you hear the ground shaking, SDL? That's the sound of the Shockwaves on a hot streak on this week 5 Immortal Division going into week 6.
I'm wide awake, bro. I can't even like front right now. Oh my god. What a impactful, an exclamation point. So much aggression, but it all came to naught. Their hubris was their downfall. DoctahShru, give me a diagnosis for this game.
The diagnosis is I think I just died. What did we just witness? They immediately just took the point I made during our pause and invalidated all of it. Who
You have
needs?
a 0 dead, bro.
Yeah,
Like 5 but none.
I can't even believe that just happened. They just walk in and take it. The damage and tankiness coming out from the Shockwaves team to be able to get that mid bird without any minions, without any backdoor protections, and then just take the Titan. What a crazy call that just worked beautifully.
That's just being tired of the game. That's just being like, it's 50 minutes. I gotta go home. I gotta go to sleep, bro. That's just what, a tired mind does. You start coming up with crazy plans, but sometimes those crazy plans come to fruition and bring you the W. Let's talk about some individual performances here, because I know there are some great ones on either side.
Yeah, I mean, my heart goes out to Flourish. They played such a good game to have it just stolen away from them. Look at Realty slash line, 12, 5, and 12, 41,000 player damage, as well as 11,000 healing. He looked so good, and it just wasn't enough.
And that's just, it's like you said, they played their hearts out, but they were simply outmaneuvered. It was one wily play. The Hail Mary, they yeeted it all the way down from the 0-yard line, and they made that catch in the throne room. But also, Rushology played his heart out as well. That fantastic play there on the back line of the opposing members' throne room was just great job to stall out this game as long as it could. DKJ proving the Freya, you got a reason to hate it. DoctahShru, that god is so much damage. And PeeWeSpurman in the backline causing havoc. POSTDRAMA, some great Dharmic pillars. Just stop everyone in their tracks from fleeing. On the opposing side, HirezHinduman with the Geb. So just give me some more accolades here, man. What was everyone doing right?
Well, I feel like when it comes to accolades, we can just hear it straight from the team. We got an interview with Phoenix here that talked to the entirety of the Seismic Shockwaves.
All right, well, thank you for joining me. This is the Immortal Seismic Shockwaves. Adora is their captain. Adora, I'm going to ask you a question first. My question towards you is, who has been the most challenging team to match up against as of this season? We're only in week 5 as of right now, but who has been the most challenging?
Yeah, so the first week we played Wild Inferno, and it was kind of an iffy set because obviously it was me jungle, szax mid. But once we made the roster change, we're kind of flying through and winning our games now. But they're definitely the top of the league, like probably best team, definitely the hardest. We got 0-2, but this game we just played Flourish. Second game they put up a fight. They definitely played good. Definitely our hardest game since week 1. And then upcoming games, like we haven't played Sunbreakers, Eclipse, and they're at the top as well. So definitely watch out for them.
Challenges coming your way besides Wild Inferno. We'll move over to your support, HinduMan. Hindu, you got
Hello.
Geb. You got Geb twice in a row. I think it's
I
well
did.
known throughout the Immortal division, especially. It might be known throughout the OSL as well that you're a big Geb fan. Is that a mistake being made by opposing teams to let you have the Geb in your hands?
I think it's a bit of a case of like, we didn't scrim at all this week with me playing Gab. The team that we just faced off against today, supposedly, I'm quoting my teammates who told me this because I can't be sure if they did, but supposedly the enemy team just called me a Gab bot. So when they insta-lock Ganesh first pick 2 games in a row, why would I not go Gab in that situation? You know, it wasn't intended for us to play Gab this week. I do have a deeper god pool, but why do I need to show it? You know, I can show the Jormungandr support. That kind of worked out okay. But yeah, I can play Gab. It's viable, and if you're scared of it, ban it, because otherwise I will pick it, especially if you comp CC heavy.
Geb, you're not going to get Geb again for the rest of the season after that one.
I mean, if you're first batting Gab against me, I'm okay with that because that's a W for my team.
Yeah.
That means Zhatzz is going to get one of his picks, you know?
Yeah, and szax is one of your biggest. Funny enough, my next question is towards szax. Szax, you have had so many different types of picks this season already. We've seen you dominate on Susano. We've seen you play. The recent in this game was the Awilix, I believe. And so, what gods can't you play in the jungle? And maybe what are some picks that we could possibly see in the future? You don't have to, give me all your secrets. That's not my point here. But is there something that you have in the back of your pocket that you might pull out that could just win you guys games? Because HinduMan has that belief in you.
Yeah. The random ass pick that I might pull out is in the mage tab. But yeah, I can play most junglers, but I am super self-critical. So if I don't do well, I feel like trash.
Yeah, you're never going to play it again.
You won't be seeing his Awilix again, that's for sure, after that game. That's all I'm saying.
Speaking of guys that we may not see again, my question to MiniDelvin is about the Odin pick in the last game. Mini, can you go through not only what your team was saying in the comms before you made that pick, and like if you were being pressured to make that pick, if it was around that comp in general, and is that something that you feel comfortable on, basically?
So yeah, the Odin pick, I was watching, Flourish scrim and stuff, and they'd be playing a lot of Ishel, Zeus, and Donza. So I knew like I could take an Odin into that 5th pick and sort of just get on the back line and zone them out. But Odin does have problems in lane. I was pressured the whole time. I was like 1k down. And late game, I just did no damage. The Catalan was doing a lot more damage. So like in terms of zoning, he's good, but not the highest pressure pick ever.
Yeah, and late game you were looking a lot better. I know that in the second game there you were part of the big old hold them at the fire giant fight that occurred, and your last cage was really big, as well as you doing a lot of big bird bombs onto targets that were trying to back. I think that you and szax both stopped 2 targets that were trying to back separately, and so that's a part of being a very comprehensive team as far as the caster point of view goes, as well as a player. That was really cool to see you and szax working so well together. But let's go ahead and go over to the ADC lane, the duo lane, because aritti is the main person in that lane. Sorry, HinduMan. And aritti has had a lot to say in the not the LC chat, excuse me, but in the Immortal chat. I want to hear aritti's voice and kind of don't be too toxic about it, but in general, go ahead and pimp your stride. Tell us what you're thinking as far as a Seismic Shockwaves player and what you want to say to the other teams as the season we're in going into week six now.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's interesting whenever you see all these carries sitting under tower all game, crying for their junglers and supports to come to their shield buff and defend their purple.
Tower boys.
All these little tower boys, man, and their base excitement from a 2-0 is a lucky solo kill on a Freya.
Wait, did you just describe what you do every game? Sit under your tower, complain about shield buff and your purple?
I sit at their
True.
tower, and then I complain about shield buff and purple.
Okay.
It's a slight difference.
All right, so we'll put some money matches on this stuff, is what Aritti's saying, basically. Put your money where the mouth is. And DrKILLJOY is your last victim. We will be seeing you, I believe, next week. I don't know exactly who you guys are matched up against, but keep your eyes on Aritti, because he will not be begging for rotations, but the enemy ADC will be. And let's go back to the captain, Adora. Adora, basically the same question I just asked to Aritti. Where do you see your team going? You guys are kind of the middle of the pack right now, moving upwards very quickly. You guys are top 4 team right now. I love your draft. I've loved your draft since the beginning of the season. Are you feeling comfortable? How are the vibes going? Just give me the last little, how you guys are feeling.
Yeah, I think we can go undefeated, honestly. Like, if we just play right and draft well, our second game was a little lackluster, but I mean, our first game was perfect. Like, it was over at 20 minutes. Like, if we just play like that, which we have been, like, the last 3 games, we can probably beat the top teams. I think the only 2 top teams, like I said, is, like, Sunbreakers Eclipse that we have to face left, and I think we have a good chance to beat both of those. We don't have to play Wild Inferno again. It's gone. So
Playoffs.
It's only up from here, yeah, until playoffs.
Yeah.
Definitely think we make playoffs for sure.
Oh,
We're
no, you
definitely
do.
a top
Yeah.
team.
I haven't explained it yet, but I'll be posting in the announcements today. 1 through 8, we'll all be making it, but it's all about seeding. So 1 will versus team 8. So Wild Inferno will be going probably against Flourish, as long as they are a little bit
Wait,
of
can we
trouble.
still come bottom? Can we still come bottom if we've lost every game? Because that means we just take on the best team first round and then just win the tournament, you know? Let's go with that. That's a good strat.
I don't know if you guys could do it. If you guys want to
Gambling.
intentionally throw, that's a guys, HirezHinduman staff right there. No, I'm joking.
We're tanking. We have first overall pick next season.
I mean, technically, you know, take out the first seed, first round, and then life's easy, right?
Yeah,
No problem.
Wild Inferno's
Sounds
out of the
risky.
picture.
So
Yeah.
if we accidentally lose from now on Phoenix, you kind of know why, you know?
Yeah, saying this in front of the lead LC is a little bit of an unusual thing to do, but
I'll run the risk.
if we lose our next 3 games, 4 games, whatever, it's all good because we beat Flourish and I'm
We
happy.
blame
You see
Hindu
me
for
up,
that.
if you see me up at their tower dying, you're not gonna know if it's intentional or not.
this is what you always do. Okay,
As
well,
long as we put Baby Rush in the ground, we won.
there you go.
Instantly.
Sorry, Rush. You get the shout out here again, but
Yeah, shout out Rush, man. He
shout
played
out,
great.
Rush. Go
He just talks too much.
twitch.tv/Rushology. All right, well, thank you, Seismic Shockwaves. We will see you guys possibly next week. If you guys win again, we'll interview you possibly. So,
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks.
Wowee, some strong words there from the members of Seismic Shockwaves, but based on what they had to show on the battleground, can't blame them for it. Doc, any closing thoughts there after seeing that interview?
It sounds like to me they're either going to push to the top of their division or they're going to tank to the bottom. We'll just have to find out which opinion prevails among the members.
At least for right now, their MO certainly is to stay on top, keep rocking and socking with that Geb in tow. But with that being said, thank you very much there to the members of Seismic Shockwaves and Phoenix to make sure they can provide that nice and clean interview for us. And also thank you to Flourish and Seismic Shockwaves for the fantastic games. That being said, it's all the time we have here today at the SSDL. Set for the Immortal Division, Flourish for Seismic Shockwaves. I've been Deelo. He's been DoctahShru. You heard the casting talent there of iNooblet and Zhatzz. Thank you guys very much for that. On the cams and production was also iNooblet. What? Double feature? Insane. Thank you very much for all you do, my friend. And thank you, the viewer at home, for watching. Keep an eye to the YouTube for more content from us. And with that being said, have a great rest of your day.